All Heaven's Civilization Cultivator. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 51 Wuzu Minimum Yan. Ming Yan. The forum is now a legitimate official website for time travelers. Guteng and others were shocked when they saw this comment. Human King, that existence? Lebo, you mean? Lebo, yes, it's the one we have discussed these days. Hiss. At the same time, there were sounds of gasps from all over Zuxia. The faces of Guteng and other time travelers were full of shock. That great existence was naturally the god who allowed a group of people to travel through time. But before that, Guteng and other time travelers were more speculative. After all, before they traveled through time, these time travelers all had the same action, replying in a comment or video of "Do you want to travel through time?" Now Shile's words made them sure that there was indeed such a great existence. After Shile's explanation, Guteng and others finally knew why he said this. It turned out that these days, in order to continue to improve the forum's website and strengthen the network security of the website, Shile specially found a few friends who were also hackers and wanted them to participate. As a result, Shile found that he had lost the authority to edit the underlying code of the forum and only had the authority of an administrator. Shile thought that the Crossing forum was attacked by other hackers. Shile, who didn't believe in evil, wanted to use hacking technology to regain the authority of the forum. But without exception, he failed. Later, Shile joined several hacker friends to try to break through the forum firewall, but it ended in failure. At this moment, Shile realized that the Crossing forum might have met the real owner. The situation of the Crossing forum is very similar to the unknown videos and comments that appeared on the entire network more than 10 days ago. After reading the long comments posted by Shile, the Crossers fell into deep thought. With the great god as the backing, they really don't have to worry about being dug out by the official people through the forum. Thinking of this, the hearts of the Crossers settled down. At the same time, they were more interested in the forum and kept posting various posts. After all, the Crossing forum has fallen under the eyes of the god. If they perform more outstandingly, they may be able to get the favor of that existence. Even the forum administrator Shile joined the discussion. Mingan? Minan? The new time traveler is suspected to be Minan, the Martial Ancestor of Tianyuan continent 500 years ago. Seeing the title of this post, the members of the forum were attracted. Tixuhao, wow, the Martial Ancestor of Tianyuan continent 500 years ago has come out. It's too imaginative. Yaning Wang, Mingan, Minan. This is just a homonym. It may just be a coincidence. Ren Wang, then why is his strength far beyond ours? The only possibility that he traveled before us can explain it. Lebo, yes, according to the time flow rate of the two worlds we speculated, 500 years ago in Tianyuan continent is 5 days ago in Zuxing, which just explains Mingan's strength. Ren Wang, Martial Ancestor, can create the blood and key martial arts system by himself. It is indeed very likely that he is a time traveler. Wen Dao saw everything that happened on the time traveler forum. In response, Wen Dao just smiled lightly. He had expected the reactions of the time travelers. After all, nothing can be perfect. Wen Dao put them into the Tianyuan realm and let the Dao system take over the transmigrant forum. The transmigrants have experienced it personally, and it is normal to have more or less guesses. Of course, they cannot know Wen Dao's true identity. Wen Dao took a sip of fragrant tea and basked in the sun in the Cheogsi pavilion leisurely. If you make great contributions in the process of spreading the extraordinary system in the Zuxing, I can give you some treasures through the forum. Wen Dao's goal has always been clear. That is to let the main universe set off a spiritual revival and give birth to the soil for the growth of extraordinary people. Wen Dao has never been stingy with rewards for anyone who can help Wen Dao achieve this goal. Don't you see that the word ancestors and martial ancestors of the Tianyuan continent have all been rewarded by Wen Dao? One lives a long life and his descendants are blessed, the other is resurrected and lives a new life. After some discussion, the members of the Transmigrant Forum all determined that Ming Yan was the martial ancestor who created the blood martial arts in the history of the Tianyuan continent. Afterwards, the travelers who had no worries asked the forum administrator Sheila to invite Ming Yan to join the traveler forum. Don't look at these travelers, their achievements in martial arts are higher than Ming Yan, the ancient man. But in the development of martial arts, except for Guting, the other travelers are far inferior to Ming Yan. If Ming Yan joins the traveler forum, he will know the method of practicing the third level of martial arts. Maybe he will suddenly be full of inspiration and come up with ideas on how to open up the 7th level of martial arts. At the very least, he can help other travelers. Therefore, Ming Yan's joining is 100 benefits and no harm to the traveler forum. The only harm has been curbed by that existence. Shile once again exerted his hacking skills. Through the information revealed by Jingzai in the video, he first remotely invaded Jingzai's mobile phone and indirectly learned Ming Yan's chat software account. Then he tried to add Ming Yan as a friend. Just like when he contacted Guting, Shile sent a friend request message directly. Hello, Wuzu, I'm Lebo, the administrator of the Time Traveler Forum. Ming Yan, who was instructing Jingzai and the other two in their cultivation, heard the message notification tone on his mobile phone, took a look, and his eyes suddenly condensed. Time traveler? This name is very appropriate. I'm indeed a time traveler from another world. Ming Yan thought about it, and clicked to agree to the friend request. Who are you, and why do you know that I'm Wuzu? Are you also from Tianyuan continent? She smiled. Sure enough, Ming Yan is Minimum Yan, the founder of the Blood Key martial arts. Then he typed a message. Yes, I'm also a time traveler, but I'm a time traveler from 500 years later. You can find the specific reasons here. Shile casually sent the URL of the Time Traveler Forum and shared several of the hotly commented posts with Ming Yan. These are the effective information summarized by Guting, Shile and others in the past few days, which is enough to solve Ming Yan's doubts. At this moment, Ming Yan was indeed full of doubts. After taking a look at the Time Traveler Forum, Ming Yan asked Jingxia and the other two to perform the bodybuilding fist on the side, while he carefully read the posts shared by Shile. An hour later, after reading all the posts in the forum, Ming Yan looked up at the sky without words, and his heart could not calm down for a long time. It turns out that they are not from Tianyuan continent, but native Zuxing people. Ming Yan understood that Guting and others had mistaken him. But Ming Yan did not correct this mistake, but continued to let this misunderstanding continue. Because he found that the 4th, 5th, and 6th heavens of the Blood and Key martial arts had been created by these Zuxing traversers. He wanted to know the subsequent martial arts practice methods in this forum. Of course, Ming Yan, who already understood the training ideas of the 3 heavens, would be able to figure it out sooner or later, even if he relied on himself. It just took a long time. But if there is a chance to get it directly in the forum, Ming Yan will naturally not spend a lot of time and energy to create it himself. This must wait until he reaches the 6th heaven of martial arts and his strength cannot be improved. Ming Yan thought to himself, if I want to get the subsequent martial arts training methods, I need to make friends with these people in the forum. Especially the time traveler called Human King. Chapter 52 Wild Boar. Time passed by little. These days, Shile has gradually pulled more than a dozen time travelers to join the forum. At the same time, because of Wen Dao's instruction, the Wen Dao system occasionally promotes the existence of the Time Traveler Forum on the entire network. Therefore, there are also many ordinary netizens who are attracted by the content of the Time Traveler Forum. However, they still think that the Time Traveler Forum is just a small circle of people with the same interests, and most of the posts in it are just for fun, and cannot be trusted. Many people quit the forum after reading a circle of forum posts, and forget about it in a blink of an eye. Only a few will continue to stay. This includes the first batch of time travelers who died before the age of 8. They lived in the tribe for several years, and knew that the world after crossing was called Tianyuan continent, the name of the region around the tribe, the existence of blood and key martial arts, etc. All this information is the same as what is said in the posts on the forum. In general, the number of permanent members of the Time Traveler Forum is increasing, and the influence is getting bigger and bigger. Just as Guteng, Shile and others had guessed before, the official internet police noticed the time traveler forum. However, no traverser has revealed his identity yet and informed the official of the authenticity of the blood key martial arts, mainly because the traversers have not yet cultivated successfully. Therefore, the official has not taken any major action for the time being, and only thinks that this is an ordinary website. Moreover, the high-profile Ming Yan is obviously more worthy of attention than the Traverser Forum. These days, Ming Yan has been very active in the Traverser Forum, like a fish in water, and there is no sign that he is a Tianyuan person from primitive society. This is also due to the memory of the original body. In order to better integrate into the modern social atmosphere of the ancestral star, and not be discovered by the Traversers, Ming Yan is trying his best to integrate the remaining memories of the original body. While making friends with the Traversers in the forum, Ming Yan did not forget to teach Jingzia and the other two. In the past 10 days, Jingzia, Kekayang and Su Hongxi have used up all their energy to study, and have learned the first 10 movements of the basic bodybuilding boxing. They perform the basic bodybuilding boxing, which looks quite good. Not to mention, with the support of a large amount of nutritional supplements, the three people can feel obvious changes when they practice. The originally weak muscles became stronger, and the figure became more slender. For example, Su Hong's obvious big belly was reduced in a way that could be seen by the naked eye, and turned into 6 abdominal muscles. However, except for Su Hongxi who has already graduated, Jingxia and Kekayang are not very old, and have just entered high school. They need to put a lot of energy into studying, so they have less time to practice martial arts. Of course, their parents have also seen the changes in their martial arts practice, and know that Ming Yan is a real talent, and not a deceptive martial arts master. So they also support Jingxia, Kekayang, and Su Hongxi to continue practicing martial arts, and supply them with various high nutrition foods for daily practice. Ming Yan's own practice is also progressing steadily. Now Ming Yan's limbs have accumulated more than 800 strands of blood and energy, and his strength has reached more than 400 kilograms! Exclamation mark. He is only one step away from the first level of martial arts. With a strength of more than 400 kilograms, a punch can easily break a small tree as thick as a bowl. Jingxia, Kekayang, and Su Hongxi, after seeing Ming Yan's powerful strength, their enthusiasm for cultivation rose again. It was another weekend. Jingxia and Kekayang came to Ming Yan's home from the school in the county town to show Ming Yan the results of their cultivation in school this week. Yes, you are very talented. In less than 20 days, you have figured out the fluctuations of energy in your body and bred the first ray of blood and ki. After checking the physical fitness of the two, Ming Yan nodded with satisfaction. Senior brother Su Hongxi, the oldest, had more time to practice, so he successfully bred the first ray of blood and ki 3 days ago. Only when the first ray of blood and ki is bred in the body can it mean that you have officially embarked on the road of martial arts practice. For martial arts beginners, this first step in martial arts practice depends on understanding and aptitude. If a person is dull, he may spend a year or two and still not find a way to convert energy such as fat and sugar in the body into blood and ki. Jingxia and the other two are very lucky to have Ming Yan, the founder of martial arts, as a teacher, who can effectively guide them on how to find this method faster and better. In addition, the three of them have all gone through 9 years of compulsory education, and one of them is a college graduate. Their minds are still very flexible and insightful. That's why they were able to successfully embark on the road of martial arts practice in the past 10 days. Ming Yan said, "Next, you need to eat a lot like me, and convert energy into blood and ki step by step. This is a persistent process. Remember not to give up halfway." "Yes, Master." Jingxia and the other two responded in unison. In the next few hours, Ming Yan guided the three to continue practicing the basic bodybuilding boxing, but it was the more difficult movements after the bodybuilding boxing. Let them learn the complete basic bodybuilding boxing as soon as possible to help themselves speed up the efficiency of practicing blood and ki. Dong dong dong, a phone rang, and Su Hongxi picked up the phone and hurried to the side to answer it. After a moment, Su Hongxi looked at Ming Yan, hesitated for a moment, and walked forward. Ming Yan glanced at him and said calmly, "Hongxi, what's wrong?" Su Hongxi said respectfully, "Master, my father called just now and said that there were several wild boars on the mountain in the nearby Dangxi town that destroyed the crops in the fields. My father wanted to organize people to hunt these wild boars to prevent them from continuing to destroy the crops. But he thought that you, Master, practice martial arts, so he wanted to ask if you are interested in hunting these wild boars." Mingyan knew that Su Hongxi's father was the mayor of Dangxi town, and it was indeed his responsibility to deal with wild boars destroying the fields. Mingjia village and Dangxi town are both close to the Qinling mountains, and there are many mountains nearby. Coupled with the previous policies, wild boars have become rampant in the nearby mountains. Occasionally, some wild boars will rush out of the mountains and destroy human settlements or fields. Mingyan's eyes flashed with a hint of desire. Hunting wild boars? Mingyan needed too much food for his daily practice, and Mingyan's savings had been consumed in these days of practice. Mingyan even borrowed 10,000 or 20,000 yuan from the bank. There is no way Mingyan has not recruited any new students these days. Although the self-media accounts established on Bilibili and Douyin have posted several videos, the data such as the number of views, the number of likes, and the number of coins are very good. But it has only been more than 10 days since the account was created, and it is not yet time to withdraw cash. Now there is an opportunity to hunt wild boars, and Mingyan is naturally very tempted. After hunting the wild boar, it is okay for Mingyan to take a wild boar as a reward, right? A wild boar can at least support Mingyan's practice for a day or two. Jingxia, who was practicing on the side, heard Su Hongxi's words and immediately said excitedly, "Hunting wild boars? Okay, Master, let's go together. It's just right to shoot a video of hunting wild boars and post it on the internet. This will definitely go viral." Mingyan nodded when he heard it. "In that case, let's stop practicing here today. Let's go hunt wild boars." Chapter 53, Killed with One Punch. Dangxi town is not far from Mingjia village. Mingyan, Jingxia, Qiqiang and Su Hongxi arrived in less than 10 minutes. However, their target this time was the wild boars in the mountains. So after a brief exchange with Su Yigo, the mayor of Dangxi town, and knowing the approximate range of activities of wild boars, Mingyan took the three people to the mountain to look for traces of wild boars. Su Yigo wanted to stop Mingyan's behavior. He told Mingyan about the wild boars through his son, wanting Mingyan to go with them. After all, Mingyan, who had practiced martial arts, was stronger and more flexible, and could cooperate better. But Su Yigo never expected that Mingyan wanted to act alone. This is a wild boar. In the mountains and forests, the threat is second only to tigers and bears. But Mingyan waved his hand to refuse Su Yigo's retention. No matter how fierce the wild boar is, it can't compare to the fierce beasts of Tianyuan continent. Now Mingyan's strength has reached more than 400 kilograms, and half of his foot has stepped into the first heaven. With his rich combat experience of nearly 100 years, it is still easy to deal with a few wild boars. Jingxia and Qiqiang excitedly followed Mingyan, each holding a mobile phone, recording the whole process of Mingyan hunting wild boars. Su Hongxi was persuaded by his father and hesitated for a moment. But Su Yigo didn't know Mingyan's strength, didn't he know it? Thinking of the master who could break a tree as thick as a bowl, Su Hongxi was full of confidence in Mingyan. So he followed. Su Yigo's face changed, and he was concerned about his son's safety. He no longer waited for other people to come, and hurriedly called more than 10 people around to follow. They all had various tools in their hands. 3 of them were police officers in the town. In order to ensure that the hunting of wild boars was foolproof, they also applied for the use of firearms. Mingyan and the other 4 were all martial artists, and their physical fitness had long been stronger than most people, so their pace was naturally faster. After going up the mountain for a while, Su Yigo and others were left behind by Mingyan and the other 4 and disappeared. Su Yigo had no choice but to follow behind, while sending a few people to search for traces of wild boars in other places on the mountain. Want to find wild boars before Mingyan and his 4 companions and kill them. Qinling mountains are high and densely forested, with numerous wild boars in the forests. It is not easy to find traces of wild boars. However, Mingyan, who was born in primitive society, is very familiar with such an environment. As soon as he entered the mountain, he was like a fish in water. He took his 3 apprentices to shuttle through the forests and opened up a simple road. After carefully exploring the situation in the nearby forests, Mingyuan soon found a trace left by a wild boar. Mingyuan pushed aside a bush, revealing one of the hoof prints, and explained to the camera, "This is a wild boar's footprint. Judging from the surrounding soil, the wild boar should have passed by here last night. Let's go, let's keep following." After searching along the vague traces for more than half an hour, Mingyuan finally heard a sound in front of him. Through the dense leaves, Mingyuan and his 4 companions could vaguely see 7 wild boars, 2 large and 5 small. They were digging the soil with their noses and tiny fangs, as if they were trying to find something edible from it. Found it. Mingyuan's eyes lit up when he saw the wild boars. With his eyesight, he could tell the weight of the 7 wild boars at a glance. The largest one was half a person tall, with a tusk that was 10 centimeters long and weighed at least 550 kilograms. The other big wild boar was slightly smaller, but also close to 400 kilograms. As for the 5 little wild boars, each weighed about 70 to 80 kilograms, and the total meat was not small. Mingyuan was delighted. Great, with so many wild boars, even if I can only get half, it can support my training for 2 days. Mingyuan was about to let Jingzai and the other 2 hide in a safe place to take pictures while he went to hunt the wild boars. The smell they exuded was discovered by the wild boars with their sensitive noses. The wild boar's nose is not much worse than that of a dog. The 2 largest wild boars turned their heads to look in the direction of Mingyuan and the other 4, and 2 streams of hot air blew out of their muddy noses. Exclamation mark. The wild boar was irritable. As soon as it found Mingyuan and the other 3, it immediately regarded them as enemies and immediately moved its hooves to perform the pig rush. Mingyuan's face changed. He was not worried about himself, but Jingshi and the other 2. "Hide behind quickly," Mingyuan shouted. In order to prevent his apprentices from being injured by the wild boar, Mingyuan stepped forward and faced the wild boar's attack. Jingshi and the other 2, who had no combat experience, were originally frightened by the wild boar's actions. At this moment, after hearing Mingyuan's words, they hurriedly hid behind the trees behind. While dodging, Jingshi did not forget to take out her mobile phone and diligently filmed the process of Mingyuan's duel with the wild boar. Facing the attack of 2 wild boars weighing hundreds of kilograms, Mingyuan's eyes condensed, his emotions were extremely calm, and he calmly performed the evasive moves in the basic bodybuilding boxing. He twisted his body and just avoided the wild boar's attack. At the same time, Mingyuan clenched his hands into fists, his blood and energy raged, and he hit the wild boar's waist with hundreds of kilograms of force. Ang! With the sound of broken bones, the 2 wild boars cried out in grief. The pigs' bodies were struck by lightning as they charged forward. Mingyuan punched them several meters away. 400 kilograms of force. The powerful force directly caused the wild boars to be severely injured. All the bones in their abdomens were broken and sunken inwards. The internal organs in their bodies were injured in the air. Blood spurted out of the mouths of the 2 big wild boars, and some small fragments of internal organs could be vaguely seen. With just one punch, Mingyuan beat the 2 wild boars that ordinary people feared to death, with only breathing in, but no breathing out. Exclamation mark. The 5 little wild boars that had followed the big wild boar to attack saw the miserable state of their parents, and they realized that they had met a ruthless person. They drilled into the surrounding bushes amid the screams of the big wild boar, trying to escape with the help of the terrain. Unfortunately, Mingyuan did not give them a chance. Mingyuan chased them with big strides, and soon caught up with the 3 little wild boars, and killed them one by one with one punch. Looking at the remaining 2 wild boars running away, Mingyuan simply picked up 2 watermelon-sized stones on the ground, and threw them out fiercely. The stones were like whistling bullets, accurately hitting the heads of the panicked wild boars, splashing blood. These were the 2 wild boars with the most miserable deaths. The other wild boars all suffered internal injuries, and they looked fine on the outside, except for a fist-shaped dent. Jingzai and the other 2 in the distance had already been stunned by Mingyuan's brutality. They knew that Mingyuan was very strong and powerful, but before he was just practicing martial arts, not actual combat. Now this scene directly stunned them. Master is so powerful. Kekaiang swallowed his saliva, his eyes full of admiration. Su Hongxi and Jingzai nodded in agreement. Master said that, as long as we keep practicing, we will reach his level. Practice martial arts. Practice martial arts. Jingzai and the other two looked at each other and saw excitement and endless enthusiasm in each other's eyes. Chapter 54 Official Attention. At this time, Su Weiguo and his group, who had been following behind, arrived at the scene along the temporary mountain road opened by Mingyan. As soon as they pushed aside the branches, they saw Mingyan and his 4 companions, the messy environment around them, and 7 dead wild boars. Looking at the wild boar corpses on the ground, Su Weiguo and his group were stunned. Su Weiguo looked at Mingyan, who exuded a fierce aura, without any tools and bare hands, and his throat rolled involuntarily. After a moment, Su Weiguo made a hoarse voice, "Master Ming, did you kill all these wild boars by yourself?" Mingyan nodded. "Yes. Is there any problem?" "No problem, no problem," Su Weiguo said hurriedly. Facing such a peerless and ruthless person, Su Weiguo, as the mayor, was a little frightened. It was ridiculous that he and everyone else laughed at Mingyan for overestimating his own abilities and daring to take 3 people into the mountains without weapons to look for wild boars. Especially among the 3 people was Su Weiguo's son. Su Weiguo naturally did not look good to someone who took his son to a dangerous place. In the end, they will probably have to finish the job. At the moment, it seems that what Su Weiguo and others said before was complete nonsense. Looking at the scene in front of him, Su Weiguo believes that Mingyan can kill a tiger. This is the modern version of Wusong! And Mingyan doesn't need to drink to give himself courage. This is a real martial arts master. My son will make a fortune by learning martial arts from him. This was the first thought that popped into Su Weiguo's mind. But then a new idea popped up in his mind. Such a dangerous person is not recorded in the archives at all. What are those people in the town and Mingjia village doing for a living? No one knows about the dangerous level of someone who can kill people at will. This is simply a serious work mistake by the system personnel of Dongxi town and Mingjia village. Mingyan doesn't care what Su Weiguo thinks. He just wants to know whether these killed wild boars can be given to him. Mingyan asked, "Mesu, what are you going to do with the meat of these wild boars?" Su Weiguo had been working in the system for so many years, and his eyesight was extraordinary. He could tell at a glance that Mingyan wanted these wild boars. So Su Weiguo waved his hand and said, "Master Ming, if you want, I can take a wild boar for 100 yuan. After all, these wild boars were killed by Master Ming, and it can be regarded as getting rid of a pest for my Dongxi town. 100 yuan per wild boar is just a token of appreciation." Upon hearing this, the others nodded and agreed. Yes, Master Ming, take these wild boars home. Mingyan did not refuse. He was determined to get the wild boars. In this case, I will not refuse. Then, Mingyan used local materials to make 2 thick vines, tied up the 7 wild boars in 2, and then pulled one with each hand, and dragged the wild boars down the mountain. Mingyan had more than 400 kilograms of strength in one hand, so he could still drag the bodies of wild boars weighing 600 to 700 kilograms on the ground. This scene naturally shocked Su Weiguo and others again. Not a human. Su Weiguo immediately made up his mind to report Mingyan's matter to the County Public Security Bureau, asking them to keep a close eye on Mingyan and list him as a key focus. Looking at Mingyan's excited son Su Hongxi next to him, Su Weiguo was also ready to have a detailed chat with his son to see if he could get more information about Mingyan from his son. Su Weiguo's information was quickly submitted to the county. The process of hunting wild boars this time was recorded by Jingxia, Kekaiang, and Su Hongxi. As Su Hongxi's father, Su Weiguo naturally got a backup of the video and submitted it to the county. With the real video record, Mingyan's situation immediately attracted the attention of the authorities. Various intelligence information about Mingyan was found out by the authorities one by one. For example, he once worked in Chang'an City, suffered a car accident, was seriously injured, and was diagnosed as seriously ill and dying by the hospital, but he recovered as before in just one night. For example, he opened a martial arts school and spread a kind of martial arts called blood martial arts. After collecting the information, the county officials immediately realized that Ming Yan's importance and confidentiality were no longer something they could handle. So Ming Yan's information was handed over layer by layer. The official action was learned by the Wen Dao system at the first time and told to Wen Dao. Wen Dao just smiled faintly and did not stop it, because this was in Wen Dao's plan. As early as when Wen Dao created Ming Yan, Guteng and other travelers, he positioned them as a lead. After all, it would take many years to spread the blood and key martial arts across the country and even the world with Ming Yan and those travelers alone. But it was different with official support. After the official clarified the authenticity of the blood and key martial arts, it would inevitably promote it, causing the number of people practicing blood and key martial arts to skyrocket. Wen Dao didn't care who practiced blood and key martial arts, he only cared about the number of people practicing martial arts. Only when the number of people practicing in the ancestral star increased, can the martial arts civilization be integrated with the local civilization of the ancestral star, thereby affecting the main universe law little by little, and slowly nurturing the blood and key martial arts law. In this way, the soil for the birth of extraordinary power appeared! So the official action was originally in Wen Dao's plan. Of course, Wen Dao didn't just put all his eggs in one official basket. In addition to the official, the Time Traveler Forum will also be an important platform for spreading the supernatural system in the future. While the official was collecting information about Ming Yan, the video of Ming Yan and his companions going up the mountain to hunt wild boars was edited by Jingzai and uploaded to various platforms one after another. There was nothing illegal about this video, and some bloody parts were also processed with mosaics by Jingzai. So the platform review was passed quickly. As soon as the video was released, it became popular immediately. Countless people were shocked by Ming Yan's skill in killing a wild boar with one punch in the video. The video was filled with dense barrages, and the screen was full of WTF and high energy ahead. Fuck. This is the modern Wusong. The sub-host can really beat a tiger with a sliding tackle. Tiger, don't come over here. JPG with this strength. 7 wild boars can be dragged easily. The uphost's strength is greater than that of the world's famous strongman. Coach, I want to learn this. Coach, I want to learn this too. Wait, it seems that the coach really teaches this. The sub-host seems to have opened a martial arts school and is recruiting students. What? It's true. I'm going to become his disciple right now. Wow, the uphost's martial arts school is in Chang'an City. I'm going to buy a plane ticket and fly there right now. Ming Yan's account on various platforms, Tianyuan Martial Arts School Ming Yan, became popular, gaining millions of fans overnight. His video of punching a wild boar was on the hot search list of various platforms. Even the number of views of several videos released before was constantly increasing. Interested people immediately knew that Ming Yan had opened a martial arts school. Ming Yan's account background received countless private messages requesting to become a disciple. Ming Yan, who was practicing, was informed by the excited Jinxia at the first time. Ming Yan looked at the private messages that kept jumping up and down and had only one thought in his mind. It seems that I will not be short of money in the future. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 55 The Actions of the Traveler. Please read on. Please do everything. The explosion of Ming Yan's video has caused heated discussions among countless people on the internet. Terms such as contemporary Wusong, #Martial Arts Master, Coach I want to learn THIS, etc. have all been topped in the hot search, and each of them has no less than 10 million popularity. Various media rushed to report, and some even sent reporters to Dongxi Town and Mingjia Village. Even the news on TV reported the video of Ming Yan killing a wild boar with one punch, although it was only more than 10 seconds. But this is enough to show how famous Ming Yan is in Xuxia at this moment. Hundreds of millions of people know him through the internet or the media. Such a high popularity naturally attracted the attention of foreign media. So a day later, Some people abroad also knew that Zhuxia had a kung fu master comparable to Bruce Lee. However, some people questioned the fakeness of the video and that Ming Yan could not really kill a wild boar with one punch. Unfortunately, as soon as the doubts were raised, professionals soon refuted them. I watched it carefully frame by frame, and I didn't find any trace of special effects. This video is 100% real. Faced with such a great popularity and more private messages asking for apprenticeship, Ming Yan immediately filmed a video of the opening of the martial arts school to recruit apprentices. This means that in a short period of time, he will accept 300 students. 300 students is the upper limit of what Ming Yan can teach after practicing. Ming Yan will pay attention to every student and treat them the same as Jingzia and the other two. If there are more people, Ming Yan's practice time will be compressed and reduced. Of course, if he just teaches the basic bodybuilding boxing casually and occasionally teaches 1 or 2 students, Ming Yan can accept tens of thousands of students without any problem. But as the ancestor of martial arts and the founder of a generation of martial arts, Ming Yan has his own pride and is unwilling to teach apprentices so casually. Therefore, in a short period of time, Ming Yan will only teach 300 students. As soon as the video was released, there was another heated discussion on the internet. Immediately, countless people set out to the Tianyuan Martial Arts School in Mingjia village, wanting to worship Ming Yan as a teacher. Chang'an University. Guteng and his 3 roommates were walking on the road. One of them was holding a mobile phone and talking to everyone excitedly. "Brothers, that Master Ming is in the county near Chang'an City," Luo Yun said excitedly. "The one who is close to the water gets the moon first. Master Ming only accepts 300 students. If we go there now, we may have a chance to be accepted by Master Ming." Luo Yun looked at Guteng and said, "Brother Teng, aren't you also a martial arts host recently? It's a good opportunity to learn from Master Ming." The other 2 roommates also echoed. But Guteng smiled and shook his head, rejecting his roommate's proposal. These days, in order to earn enough money to practice, Guteng, like Ming Yan, also posted martial arts videos on various video platforms. However, unlike Ming Yan's undisguised, most of the videos shot by Guteng are some ordinary martial arts moves, and he has not involved or talked about blood and ki martial arts. Although ordinary people will feel incomprehensible after watching them, but real masters will not take it to heart. After all, Guteng does not want to attract official attention. Just being an ordinary martial arts host, the data and income of short videos are not high, and it will take another month to extract them. Therefore, Guteng's cultivation is now somewhat stagnant. It has been nearly 20 days since he returned to the ancestral star, but Guteng has only cultivated more than 100 strands of blood and ki, and his strength has reached 150 kilograms. It is the same level as Ming Yan more than 10 days ago. This is another disadvantage of not attracting official attention. The money is too slow. There is such a saying on the internet that the way to make money quickly is written in the law. Guteng obviously does not want to break the law, so he has very few ways to quickly obtain wealth. Originally, these days, Guteng also thought about looking for some evil forces in Chang'an City and obtaining some starting funds through the method of black eating black. However, in recent years, the domestic anti-gang and evil elimination in Zhuxia has made good progress, and most of the evil forces have been eliminated. As for the small part of the evil forces left, they are hidden deeper, and it is not so easy for ordinary people to find them. Guteng's current identity in the ancestral star is just a powerless college student. So these days, he naturally did not find any evil forces. At most he met a few gangsters. At this time, Guteng thought of the experience of a time traveler in the forum and sighed in his heart. It's better to go to Neon on the other side of the ocean. There are many gangs, the people are simple, and there are no guns. You can easily get a sum of money. Guteng was thinking of the Iron Blood Marquis in the forum, Guteng's former subordinate. The situation of the Iron Blood Marquis was similar to that of Guteng, but he was smart and took a plane to Neon a few days ago. According to the post posted by the Iron Blood Marquis on the Time Traveler forum, at this moment, he has conquered a small gang of more than 10 people. In addition to getting a sum of money every day to maintain his own practice, the Iron Blood Marquis is accompanied by a young lady, and his life is so chic. The experience of the Iron Blood Marquis made other time travelers in the forum envious. But few people went abroad like him. First, their strength is still very weak now, and they have not even reached the first level of martial arts, the Blood and Ki realm. Many foreign countries do not ban firearms, and the degree of danger is far greater than that of Zuxia. The warriors of the first 3 levels of martial arts are all mortals, and they can't resist the attack of guns at all. If they are shot by others, and hit the heart, head and other vital parts, they will die. Secondly, the time travelers are not the protagonists in the novels. They are all born in orphanages. They have families in China, so it is impossible for them to abandon their families and rashly go to a foreign country. So Guteng and others envy them, but they will not imitate Tixu Hao. Just like they don't imitate Mingyan's behavior. Guteng looked at the video of Mingyan punching a wild boar on his mobile phone, and thought to himself, this martial ancestor Mingyan is so high profile, I guess he has been noticed by the official. The time traveler forum should also be in the official site. Guteng's thought was indeed correct. After collecting Mingyan's information, the official immediately traced the time traveler forum he often logged in. The time traveler forum never prohibits others from logging in, so the official people easily saw the posts posted by the time travelers in the forum. Of course, after the time travelers discussed it and thought that the authorities would find the forum, they deleted the posts that might expose their real identities, leaving only some posts that would not expose information. After careful analysis, the authorities finally knew that a large-scale supernatural phenomenon had occurred in China not long ago. About 1,000 people traveled to another world! And after traveling, these people returned to their ancestral planet and brought back the supernatural system knowledge of another world! Chapter 56, The Evolution of Life on Hangji Star. Chang'an City, an official building somewhere. The appearance of the time traveler suddenly set off the atmosphere here. Everyone was stunned, and it was hard to believe that there was such a supernatural phenomenon in this world. But the power displayed by Mingyan in the video was perfectly consistent with the blood and ki martial arts mentioned in this forum. This made these people have to start to believe that the time traveler really existed. Just over 20 days ago, they experienced a time travel and traveled to a world called Tianyuan continent. In that world, there is an extraordinary cultivation system of blood and ki martial arts, and the social level is in a primitive society. The time traveler has experienced more than 100 years in that world, experienced countless heroic deeds, and established the first feudal dynasty. Maybe these time travelers are just ordinary people in the ancestral star, but in the Tianyuan continent, they are a generation of legends, great men who can be passed down through the ages, and a generation of kings and dukes. Mingyan is just one of the time travelers. Looking carefully at the information about the time traveler, the original official person in charge realized that this was not something he could handle. So, the official personnel of Chang'an City reported Mingyan's intelligence, along with the information of the time traveler forum, to a higher level official. The official efficiency in this regard has always been the fastest. 1 hour after the report was submitted, the top leaders of Zuxia State immediately set up a special task force to deal with the supernatural incident of the time traveler forum. The first thing the task force had to do was to send people to Mingjia village to invite Mingyan to verify whether the blood ki martial arts really existed. Although the official people had already believed in the matter of time travel, they still had to do the final verification procedure. After that, they had to figure out the time traveler forum and find out the traces of other time travelers. After all, looking at the posts posted by Guteng and other time travelers, they were all martial artists who could practice. The degree of danger was no less than Mingyan, and even higher! After all, the post said that Mingyan was a time traveler from 500 years ago, and they were 500 years later. The martial arts knowledge they possessed was 500 years more advanced than Mingyan. Just the martial arts realm alone, they knew 3 more than Mingyan! These were all social instability factors, and needed to be closely monitored. The official mobilized a large number of hackers to attack the time traveler forum and try to obtain information from all existing time travelers. Unfortunately, they all failed. In desperation, The official had no choice but to give up the hacking method and instead send private messages to the time travelers one by one, inviting them to join the official. Not surprisingly, these private messages fell into the sea, and no time travelers responded. The unwilling official wanted to locate the founder of the Shile forum through the information exchanged between Mingyuan and Shile's friends before. I can't find the hacker named Lebo. The network technician was helpless. Lebo is very cautious and has great hacking skills. The accounts he and Mingyuan added as friends were all subcontracted by meat machines. We traced them back and found that they were not Lebo himself. We can't trace Lebo's real IP address. Another network technician continued, and we found that the posts in the time travel forum are divided into levels. Some posts can only be viewed by the core members of the forum, and those posts hide more information. The core members of the forum are naturally Guting, Mingyuan and other time travelers. Since Shile discovered that other unfamiliar netizen types would enter the time travel forum from time to time, he knew that person existed and did not set the forum as a secret circle. Instead, it was open to the public. So in order to allow the time travelers to communicate better and prevent other muggles from knowing information that they should not know, Shile used his only administrator privileges to create 2 levels of ordinary members and core members in the forum. Some insignificant information posts can be viewed by ordinary netizens, but some posts involving the interests of time travelers can only be viewed by time travelers. The new official person in charge, Wei Rinming, narrowed his eyes. It seems that, if we want to get more information about the time travel forum, we need to recruit a real time traveler. Let the group of people in Chang'an City quickly contact the time traveler named Wuzu. At the same time, increase the search efforts and find other time travelers who have not joined the time travel forum in the crowd. Yes. Wei Rinming looked at the information about the blood and key martial arts in his hand, and his heart was extremely hot. If this blood and key martial arts can be promoted in the army, then a group of soldier kings will be born in the army. Speaking of which, Mingyuan is going to recruit 300 students. Wei Rinming frowned. If they all practice successfully, it will also be an unstable factor. However, the official wants to be on good terms with Mingyuan, and it is impossible to order him not to teach martial arts casually. It seems that we need to take these 300 people into the official system, or directly send our people to learn martial arts from Mingyuan. This can also verify the authenticity of the blood key martial arts. Thinking of this, Wei Rinming immediately called the Central Theater and the Chang'an Public Security Bureau and asked them to send a group of official people to participate in the recruitment of students for the Tianyuan Martial Arts Hall. Chang'an City, Cheogsi Pavilion. Wen Dao watched the time traveler and the official fighting wits and courage through the Dao system and couldn't help but smile. But Wen Dao knew very well that the power of the official was far beyond the imagination of ordinary people, especially in such a modern and information-based era. Even if the time travelers wanted to hide, they would be found out one after another under the official machine. After all, Shile could think of finding information about Guting and others through the characteristics of the time travelers being unconscious for a few days. Naturally, the official people would not be an exception. On the contrary, those time travelers who only lived for 30 or 40 years in the Tianyuan continent and slept for a night in the Zuxing were more difficult to find. But as long as they start to practice martial arts, sooner or later they will reveal clues and be found out by the official. I don't need to worry too much about the experiences of these travelers. Wen Dao felt bored after watching for a while. His eyes turned to the 2 dust worlds of Tianyuan Realm and Hangji Realm. 200 years have passed in Tianyuan Realm, and Wu Dynasty is still the most powerful country in Tianyuan continent. It is full of martial virtues, and martial artists of the 4th and 5th levels of martial arts emerge in an endless stream. However, martial artists of the 6th level of martial arts appear less frequently, with only 7 or 8 people. But overall, the martial arts of Tianyuan continent are developing magnificently. As time goes by, the frequency of the birth of martial arts masters will only increase. It's not time to invest in the second batch of travelers. Wen Dao looked at the situation in Tianyuan Realm for a while, and then his eyes moved to Hangji Realm. 18 days have passed on Zuxing, and Hangji Star has experienced 500,000 years. In these 500,000 years, under the arrangement of the Dao system, the life on Hangji Star has evolved to the stage of mammals. This is much faster than the evolution speed of Tianyuan Star. Wen Dao is not surprised by this. Although Hangji Star has not been invested with the vitality of heaven and earth by Wen Dao, the speed of life evolution on its own is not fast. But with the example of Tianyuan Star, the life evolution process on Hangji Star, under the intervention of the heavenly Dao system, is completely equivalent to a copy and paste process. Therefore, the life evolution speed on Hangji Star is faster. Wen Dao nodded with satisfaction. Soon, at this speed, in another 5 or 6 days, the humans on Hangji Star will be able to evolve. Chapter 57 Planning of the New Extraordinary System. Unlike the humans on Tianyuan Star, Wen Dao can let the Dao system take charge of the evolution of the humans on Hangji Star. According to convention, the human bodies evolved on Hangji Star are roughly the same as those on Xuxing Star. After all, Wen Dao wants to copy the cultivation system that will be born on Hangji Star to Xuxing. Naturally, the humans on Xuxing Star can also practice. When the world tree grows to a certain extent in the future, more worlds can be created. At that time, Wen Dao will no longer have to worry about whether the human body structures in each world are the same. Even other humanoid races can be created, such as elves, orcs, three-eyed races, etc. If we go a step further, we can create other non-human races, such as monsters, demons, etc. Now, in the early stage of entrepreneurship, Wen Dao is mainly cautious. Wen Dao came to the second floor, stepped through the cross-border door, came to the sky above Hangji Star, and overlooked the land below. Unlike Tianyuan Star, which has only one continent, the continental plates of Hangji Star did not undergo Wen Dao's special intervention, but evolved naturally. So Hangji Star now has 3 continents, 1 large and 2 small. The largest one has an area of about 23 million square kilometers and is located in the northern hemisphere. The 2 smaller ones add up to a total area of about 20 million kilometers and are located at the junction of the southern hemisphere and the equator. The 3 continents are in a triangular shape, forming an inland sea at the equator. There are also many islands in the inland sea. The radius of Hangji Star is only 3,000 kilometers, and the land area is slightly larger than the ancestral star North America and South America combined. After 500,000 years of development, Hangji Star is now in the era of dinosaur extinction and the rise of mammals. This is another point different from Tianyuan Star. Hangji Star is destined to give birth to humans, and the environment of the planet will naturally evolve towards a direction suitable for human survival. Since Hangji Star was not invested with the vitality of heaven and earth by Wen Dao, it naturally cannot support the long-term existence of large organisms. The dinosaurs in this world have become extinct in large numbers due to climate change. The remaining living dinosaurs have evolved to make their bodies smaller, to adapt to the changing environment, such as the pterosaur dinosaurs that have evolved into birds. Wen Dao looked at the vibrant land below, thinking, the blood and ki martial arts system of Tianyuan Star has benefited me a lot. The extraordinary system to be born on Hangji Star must not only conform to the current ancestral star environment, but also help my growth. When he was in Taishan, Wen Dao used the aura of the Xuxia civilization to make the world tree sprout and grow smoothly. Wen Dao's body was also baptized by the origin of the world tree, and his life level leaped and grew, and he transformed twice in a row. Not only did his body transform from a mortal body to an immaculate spirit body, and his soul was also baptized, achieving the Yuan Dao fetus. If calculated based on the existing information of the world tree, Wen Dao's current life level is the 3rd level. But even though his life level has transformed, Wen Dao still has no way to practice. For this skyrocketing strength, Wen Dao is more of an instinct. It can be used, but there is no way to strengthen the body and soul. In other words, Wen Dao has become a more powerful ordinary person. However, this situation ended after the birth of the blood and ki martial arts civilization tree in the Tianyuan world. Wen Dao only needs a thought to absorb all the martial arts knowledge and experience of Tianyuan Star, since its birth from the tree of civilization. The blood and ki martial arts cultivation methods and martial arts created by Ming Yan, Guteng and others are all included in it. Wen Dao took the essence and dregs of this martial arts knowledge and summarized a method suitable for Wen Dao himself. Through this method, Wen Dao can already practice and actively strengthen his body. People have three treasures: essence, energy, and spirit. Now Wen Dao's essence has a method of cultivation. Next, Wen Dao's eyes are naturally placed on Qi and Shen. Blood and Qi martial arts involve the cultivation of part of Qi, but that is to absorb the Qi between heaven and earth, and does not allow people to cultivate their own Qi in the body. Blood and Qi are physical energy. Therefore, Wen Dao is going to guide the extraordinary system that is about to be born on Hangji Star to Qi and Shen. In fact, in the heavens and the worlds, any strong cultivation system will inevitably involve the cultivation of the three paths of essence, energy, and spirit. Of course, the blood and Qi martial arts of Tianyuan Star has only developed to the second level of the heavens. When the subsequent blood and Qi martial arts system continues to develop, it will inevitably integrate the cultivation methods of Qi and Shen. However, this will take a long time. Regarding the cultivation of Qi, the best is naturally the cultivation system and the immortal system. The cultivator cultivates mana and spiritual power, and can cast unpredictable spells. And when the cultivator cultivates to the golden elixir and the primordial infant, it will also involve the cultivation of Shen. Having lived who lives, Wen Dao has also read a lot of immortal novels, and the first thing that comes to mind is this. It's just that the cultivation system is too dependent on the environment of heaven and earth, and it needs to have enough heaven and earth vitality. The main universe where the ancestral star is located does not have the existence of heaven and earth vitality and spiritual energy. Wen Dao can use the origin to transform into heaven and earth vitality to supply his own cultivation. But the problem is that after the birth of this cultivation system, it is not only for Wen Dao to practice. Wen Dao also wants to let it spread in the ancestral star, so that the people of the ancestral star can practice. It is impossible for Wen Dao to allow the vitality of heaven and earth to appear on a large scale in the main universe. Once the vitality of heaven and earth appears, it will be wiped out by the laws of the universe. Therefore, it is not time for the cultivation system to appear. Only when the soil for the birth of the supernatural system of the main universe is fully nurtured, can the vitality of heaven and earth exist for a long time. That is when the cultivation system and other cultivation systems that require a high energy environment will appear. Wen Dao thought in his heart, the cultivation system of Qi suitable for the current environment of the ancestral star can only think of the internal force and true Qi in martial arts. However, in Wen Dao's mind, the internal force and true Qi martial arts system is too weak. In the martial arts novels and TV dramas that Wen Dao has read, no matter how strong the martial arts masters are, they can only reach the point where flying flowers and picking leaves can hurt people. It is simply incomparable with the blood and Qi martial arts that can reach 500 kilograms just after entering the first heaven. No, I guide the birth of the extraordinary system not to see how strong the practitioners are. Wen Dao shook his head. I just want the extraordinary system to be born, and then absorb its strengths, and spread it in the ancestral star. Nowadays, the first goal is to let the main universe give birth to the soil for the growth of extraordinary things. The weak internal force martial arts system also has its advantages. That is, it is suitable for most people to practice, and can better adapt to the environment of the ancestral star. What's more, there is no difference between strong and weak cultivation systems. Wen Dao smiled. The strength of the cultivation system depends more on the world environment and the people who practice it. The internal force and true Qi system is also extraordinary when it is cultivated to a higher level. For example, in some worlds, some people practice internal force in the early stage, and then they come into contact with the cultivation method, so that they can transform the internal force in their bodies into magic power, and thus embark on the road of cultivation. The internal force system is sometimes a prerequisite for other cultivation systems. In this case, I will guide the humans of Hangji Star to the internal force martial arts system. Chapter 58 World and Civilization. Time passed by little. Soon it was 5 days after the ancestral star. In the past 100,000 years on Hangji Star, new humans evolved under the guidance of the system. Traces of humans appeared on the 3 continents of Hangji Star one after another. However, the core of civilization is on the largest continent. After that, the development of human civilization on Hangji Star was similar to that on Tianyuan Star. World Log Hangji Realm Chapter. In the 666,600th year of Hangji Star, humans figured out the method of drilling wood to make fire, and mastered the flame. The human civilization of Hangji Star was bred, and the seed of civilization was born. Puff in the void, a new illusory civilization seed was born. The world tree in Wen Dao's soul felt something, and the leaves carrying the Hangji realm shook gently, and the civilization seed suddenly appeared on the surface of the world tree. The mysterious law of Taoism flowed through the small branches of the world tree, and then poured into the Hangji Star civilization seed, leaving the mark of Wen Dao in it. After that, this civilization seed was the same as the blood and martial arts civilization tree. As long as you hear the Tao and think about it, you can learn some of the civilization knowledge born in Hangji Star. In the 730,000th year of Hangji Star, the human Kang on the first continent of Hangji Star collected and sorted out and created several hieroglyphs. As time went on, these characters spread all over the world. In the same era, humans who invented characters were also born on the other two continents of Hangji Star. They invented another system of primitive hieroglyphs. So far, 3 primitive civilizations were born on Hangji Star. Boom boom boom. Exclamation mark. As the existence of characters spread all over the world, most human tribes began to use characters and languages to communicate. The seeds of civilization have grown greatly, and Hangji Star has undergone earth-shaking changes. Hangji Star has been promoted from a lower-level dust world to a middle-level dust world. Exclamation mark. The rewards from the Chaos Sea and the main universe came at the first time. Wen Dao looked at the increased 100,000 origins and felt happy. This is the good thing about the world of dust. As long as the initial civilization is born, the world level can be promoted once. Master, Wen Dao identity, God of creation, Creator, Lord of the World Tree, Seedling Stage World of Creation, Tianyuan Realm, Upper World of Dust, Hangji Realm, Middle World of Dust, Civilization Achievements, Tree of Civilization, 1, Tianyuan Blood Key Martial Arts Civilization Tree, Civilization Seeds, 2. Zhuxia Civilization Seeds, Hangji Civilization Seeds, Number of Origins. 230,000 drops World Log, Tianyuan Realm Chapter, Hangji Star Chapter. Hundreds of thousands of years of development have allowed Hangji Star to absorb 130,000 drops of origin from the Chaos Sea. This is mainly because Hangji Star did not convert the large amount of absorbed origin into the vitality of heaven and earth to support the needs of life evolution. Therefore, in the stage of life evolution, it can accumulate more origins than the Tianyuan realm. Wen Dao looks strange. It seems that, if civilization is not born, the speed of time in the world will be reduced, but more origins can be accumulated. The birth of civilization directly accelerated the time of Hangji Star, from 100,000 times to hundreds of times. In addition, the speed of the space fragments in Hangji realm itself is 100 times. It is equivalent to 1 day on the ancestral star, and about 100 years in Hangji realm, the same as the previous Tianyuan realm. So Wen Dao had such an idea, but soon Wen Dao gave up this idea. After all, no matter how many origins there are, they can only support the world tree from the seedling stage to the growth stage. In the growth stage, if the world tree wants to continue to grow and reach maturity, it will not only rely on the origin. It also needs to walk out of its own way and breed its own laws. The way of creating the world, the way of civilization. This step must transform the main universe from a world without magic to an extraordinary world. Otherwise, Wen Dao will still be suppressed by the main universe, and will never reach maturity. So it is back to the starting point. The world created by Wen Dao must give birth to civilization. An extraordinary system must be born. But it's not impossible to create some worlds without civilization in the future, specifically for time acceleration and accumulation of origin. Wen Dao smiled in his heart. But Wen Dao also understood that, even if there was no intervention from him in the ordinary world, under the 100,000 times time acceleration, sooner or later intelligent creatures and civilizations will be born in the world, just like the Zhuxing. At that time, the flow rate of time will also be reduced. Regardless of what Wen Dao thinks in his heart, the development of civilization on Tianyuan Star has not stopped at all. Wen Dao looked at the ever-developing human civilization on Tianyuan Star and prepared to guide them to develop an internal force martial arts system. At the same time, the development of Zuxing and Tianyuan realm has not stopped either. In the past few days, the official people contacted Mingyan and directly invited Mingyan to join the official and teach the official people the blood and ki martial arts practice method. As a generation of martial arts ancestor, Mingyan had the same idea as Guteng and others and did not want to be too constrained. So Mingyan naturally refused the official invitation. But when it comes to teaching martial arts skills, Mingyan did not refuse. Because he always believed that his mission to Zuxing was to spread martial arts. In addition, Mingyan absorbed the memories of his original body and knew that this was a harmonious society where everyone lived in a stable environment. Officials practicing blood ki martial arts and cultivating a large number of warriors would only have a better effect on social stability. Mingyan understood that with the appearance of traverses like Guteng, the future of Zuxing was destined to undergo tremendous changes. So Mingyan naturally supported the official's request. However, among the 300 students Mingyan was going to accept, he only gave half of the official quota. As for the other official people who wanted to practice martial arts, they could ask these 150 students who had learned to teach. For the remaining half, Mingyan said frankly that he would choose from those who came to become apprentices. After all, Mingyan understood that if the students were all official people, then blood ki martial arts would only be limited to the official, and no warriors would be born among the people. The official also knew that this was Mingyan's concession, and after a meeting and discussion, they agreed to this request. Of course, Mingyan did not get no benefits. First of all, the official supplied Mingyan with an unlimited supply of various meats to support Mingyan's daily practice needs. Secondly, Mingyan was given an official identity and a nominal position, a martial arts instructor in a certain bureau in Chang'an City, with an annual salary of 1 million. This news was quickly reported by the media and became a hot search on major platforms, causing a heated discussion on the internet. The reason why the official did not block this news was mainly to send a friendly signal to other time travelers by reaching an agreement with Mingyan and attract them to join the official actively. This is like buying a horse bone with a lot of money. What's more, Mingyan is not a horse bone, but a well-deserved top talent. Not to mention, seeing Mingyan's experience, some time travelers in the forum were really moved. Chapter 59, Backhand Activation. Mingjia Village. Today is the second time that Tianyuan Martial Arts School has accepted disciples. Compared with the opening ceremony more than 20 days ago, this time is more grand and lively. Thousands of people from all over the world gathered in Mingjia village just to be able to worship Mingyan as a master. Countless media, internet celebrities, anchors, etc. heard the news, holding long guns and short guns, or shooting videos, or broadcasting live, recording the whole process of the martial arts school accepting disciples. Millions of people on the internet watched all this through the screen. The official had long anticipated the lively scene of the martial arts school accepting disciples. In order to ensure the smooth holding of the martial arts school's apprentice acceptance ceremony and prevent accidents such as stampedes, the county specially dispatched hundreds of police officers to Mingjia village to maintain order. In addition to the 150 people sent by the official and military to worship, they can ensure the smooth conduct of Tianyuan martial arts schools accepting disciples. Originally, according to the official intention, they wanted to invite Mingyan to Chang'an City or even the capital to open a martial arts school. At the very least, he could go to a nearby county. There, a larger venue could be approved for Mingyan's Tianyuan martial arts school, so that Mingyan could teach martial arts with peace of mind. But Mingyan refused. For Mingyan, who was born in the Tianyuan world, he prefers the environment of Mingjia village, which is surrounded by mountains and rivers. Occasionally, he can go deep into the mountains and forests and get close to nature. The official had no choice but to build temporary dormitories around Mingjia village for the 150 people who wanted to practice martial arts. Looking at the crowd near his own compound, Mingyan was a little helpless. Originally, he wanted to select the 150 people with the best martial arts qualifications from the crowd. But now there are too many people. If Mingyuan checks the qualifications one by one, I don't know how long it will take. In desperation, Mingyuan can only make selective selections. For example, the age limit is between 15 and 35 years old, and the consent of parents is required. As for the monthly training expenses, Mingyuan has long posted a video online, explaining that practicing martial arts requires eating a lot of meat every day. Without enough energy, it is impossible to succeed in training. Even if you don't have to spend 1,000 yuan a day like Mingyuan did before, Mingyuan has experience and can absorb and transform all this energy. You still have to spend at least 100 or 200 on food. In other words, you have to spend at least 3 or 4,000 yuan a month on cultivation. People from ordinary families can't afford the cost of cultivation. So this is another invisible condition that eliminates most people. In the end, there were less than 1,000 people who met the conditions to worship Mingyuan as a master. After selecting 150 people from the 1,000, Mingyuan's pressure was reduced. A few hours passed in the blink of an eye, and when the sun was high in the sky, Mingyuan also selected 150 new students from the public. As for the 150 people sent by the government, they were selected a few days ago. In the courtyard that had been simply expanded and could accommodate hundreds of people, 300 people paid a great tribute to Mingyuan and officially worshipped Mingyuan as their master. Just like when he taught Jingshi, Kekuang, and Suhangzi before, Mingyuan handed each of them a copy of the basic bodybuilding fist. No, it should be called Tianyuan bodybuilding fist now. This is an official proposal. Because after reaching an agreement with the authorities, Mingyuan wrote down more than 10 basic blood and ki martial arts exercises and breathing methods for the authorities. Some were created by Mingyuan himself, and some were created by other martial artists. But the basic bodybuilding boxing that Mingyuan practiced himself is undoubtedly the most difficult and effective. So in order to distinguish these basic martial arts exercises, the name of the bodybuilding boxing was changed. After the authorities obtained these exercises, they naturally sent people to practice and collect experimental data as soon as possible. Scientists have long been curious about blood and ki energy, an extraordinary power that can allow people to break the limits of their human body. Of course, they started with simple exercises. After all, Mingyuan said that if there is no guidance for the more difficult basic exercises, it is very easy to make mistakes in practice and go astray. So the authorities naturally have to proceed step by step. The 300 people got the practice exercises and couldn't wait to read them and memorize the moves in them according to Mingyuan's instructions. Jingshi and the other two, who had made some progress in practice and cultivated a few strands of blood and ki, were waiting on the side. Once someone remembered the previous moves, they could explain the key points to them. Jingshi and the other two have been practicing for so many days, and they are still very familiar with the first 2 or 3 movements. They can teach on behalf of the master. Of course, if they really don't understand something, they can also go and ask Mingyuan. At this moment, Mingyuan is practicing in the house. After a month of practice, Mingyuan finally reached the edge of the first level of martial arts. The blood and ki in his body have accumulated to 1,000 strands, and his strength has reached more than 490 kilograms. It's just a little short of the power of a tripod, and this point will be broken today. Mingyuan ate fist-sized pieces of hot beef, controlling his stomach to keep moving and digesting, and the beef he ate quickly turned into energy and flowed throughout his body. Then Mingyuan took a stance and performed a whole set of bodybuilding boxing movements, combined with breathing methods, slowly condensing the energy into blood and ki. Mingyuan's body was steaming with hot air. Bang bang bang. Mingyuan performed a few movements, and the knotted muscles burst out with powerful force, compressing the air near his fists, and even made a sound of breaking through the air. Mingyuan ate 2 large barrels of beef in a row, digested them all, and cultivated 5 new blood ki. But it was these 5 blood ki that increased Mingyuan's strength by a few pounds again, breaking the limit of 500 pounds at once. The power of a tripod. The first level of martial arts. Mingyuan's mind suddenly became clear, and the countless messy thoughts in his mind were swept away. Mingyan's consciousness and thoughts were like air, becoming ethereal and entering a special state. In the dark, Mingyan felt that there was a familiar breath attracting him from the distant void. What is that? Mingyan's heart moved slightly. Mingyan didn't wander for long, and the familiar breath followed some kind of connection, crossed the space, and poured into his soul, and then poured into his body. But soon this breath dissipated between heaven and earth, without leaving a trace in Mingyan's body. Feeling this long-lost breath, Mingyan suddenly widened his eyes. His heart was full of disbelief, and he couldn't help but exclaimed, "Heaven and earth energy. It's actually heaven and earth energy." Hearing the exclamation, more than 300 people who were learning the bodybuilding boxing movements in the courtyard immediately looked inside the house. It turned out that, just after Mingyan broke through the first level of martial arts, Wen Dao's backup plan hidden in his soul was activated. Mingyan's soul established an energy channel with the Tianyuan realm, sandwiched between the void, allowing Mingyan to absorb the heaven and earth energy of the Tianyuan realm. From then on, Mingyan could cultivate blood energy by absorbing the heaven and earth energy. On the ancestral star, he also had the hope of entering the third level of martial arts, the blood coagulation realm. Chapter 60. The second batch of travelers. What did you say? Mingyan said he can absorb the heaven and earth energy from Tianyuan continent. In Chang'an City, the person in charge, Wei Rinming, stood up suddenly, widened his eyes, and made a sound of disbelief. The staff member who reported nodded and repeated the information he got from Mingyan again. Not long ago, Mingyan broke through to the first level of the martial arts, the blood and ki realm. At the moment of the breakthrough, he said that he entered a mysterious realm and sensed the other world called Tianyuan continent, from which he could absorb the heaven and earth energy. The exclamation of Mingyan when he absorbed the heaven and earth energy was heard by all 303 students. Mingyan naturally would not hide his changes. According to Mingyan, 99% of the heaven and earth energy he absorbed from Tianyuan continent will dissipate between heaven and earth, and only less than 1% of the heaven and earth energy can be absorbed by him. Wei Rinming walked around while listening to the staff's report, thinking constantly. Heaven and earth energy, according to the information obtained from the Philosopher forum, is a high energy that can support the needs of martial artists to practice. The staff member continued. If a warrior wants to cultivate to the third heaven or above, he must absorb this energy. It is difficult to break through to the third heaven blood coagulation realm by relying solely on meat. I know this. Wei Rinming interrupted the staff. When Wei Rinming took office as the leader of the Blood and Ki Martial Arts Task Force, he studied the Philosopher forum all night and kept in mind all the information exposed by the Philosophers. The only thing that Wei Rinming didn't understand was why Mingyan could absorb the vitality of heaven and earth as soon as he broke through, or was it energy from another world? Wei Rinming frowned. Is Tianyuan continent not far from Zuxing? Is it a life planet in the universe? Just like the transmission of electric current in a circuit, the farther the distance, the greater the loss of electric current. If the distance between Zuxing and Tianyuan continent is too long, the vitality of heaven and earth will be consumed during the transportation process, and how can it be absorbed by Mingyan? So the distance between Zuxing and Tianyuan continent must not be too far. Wei Rinming looked up at the sky. Could it be that the Tianyuan continent is located in a star system near the solar system, or is it in the solar system? After knowing the existence of the travelers, the official was looking for the reason why they traveled through time and the location of the Tianyuan continent they traveled to. Especially after several other travelers took the initiative to join the official, they carefully examined all aspects of their bodies. Unfortunately, no matter how scientists deduce and study, they have not figured out the reason for the travel. Because the travelers traveled through their souls, and their bodies remained on the ancestral star. And the soul is a field that modern technology has never figured out. Even before, the scientific community was not sure whether humans have souls. This is why scientists have no way to start. But Mingyan's experience now has given scientists another research direction. For the study of energy, the technology of the ancestral star still has certain results. As long as they find the channel for the transportation of the heaven and earth's vitality, then they may be able to find the location of the Tianyuan continent! Exclamation mark. That is a planet of life. The value contained is so great that it is enough to make any country on the ancestral star crazy. I just don't know. Only when the Travises reach the first level of martial arts can they absorb the vitality of heaven and earth from the Tianyuan continent. Or all warriors, after reaching the first level of martial arts, can establish a connection with the Tianyuan continent and absorb the vitality of heaven and earth. Although there has been no experiment, Wei Rinming actually has a guess in his mind, and the probability is the former. After all, other people have never been to the Tianyuan continent, and they don't even know what the vitality of heaven and earth looks like, so it is naturally impossible to absorb the vitality of heaven and earth from the Tianyuan continent. However, before this kind of thing is confirmed, Wei Rinming still does not give up. He can only increase the resource allocation of the 150 people, let them practice hard, and enter the first level of martial arts as soon as possible. In order to verify his guess, Wei Rinming sat back in his seat with a heavy heart, looking at the Travisor forum on the computer screen. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. Who is that existence? He can actually take people's souls out of their bodies at will, and can also create so many Travisors. Is he really an omnipotent god? Or is it a joke by aliens? Travisors can guess that there is a certain existence behind the scenes that allows them to travel. The officials, who have numerous highly intelligent talents and think tanks, can naturally guess it. However, things like travel are simply not something that the current technological level of Zeuxing can do. The officials can only make assumptions about the identity of this existence. Either it is a real legendary god, or it is an alien from an advanced alien civilization who uses Zeuxing people for experiments. No matter which one it is, Zeuxing cannot contend with it now. So all the officials can do is to quietly accumulate strength, collect information, and figure out what the purpose of that existence is. Wen Dao doesn't care about the officials' actions. Anyway, he won't step into the front easily. His superficial identity is just an ordinary antique shop owner and the CEO of a company with assets of over 100 million. In addition, there is no trace of any extraordinary system pointing to Wen Dao. All the extraordinary actions that Wen Dao performed on Zeuxing were carried out through the Xian Dao system and the World Tree, and they could be operated thousands of miles away. With Zeuxing's technology, it is completely impossible to find Wen Dao's true identity. At this moment, Wen Dao was not in the mood to care about what the official people thought. It has been more than a month since the first batch of travelers returned to the ancestral star. 300 or 400 years have passed in the Tianyuan realm, and the development of martial arts civilization seems to have fallen into a bottleneck period. The number of martial artists in the 6th level of martial arts, the Blood and Qilong River, has reached 20 to 30. However, they are all lying on the legacy left by Guteng, and there has been no amazing genius who can explore a new martial arts realm like Wuzhu and Ren Wang. At the same time, after 300 years of inheritance, the Wu dynasty of Tianyuan continent has also produced many contradictions and problems. The Wu dynasty began to decline from its heyday. The surrounding countries saw the signs of decline in the Wu dynasty and prepared for war in secret. A chaotic world seemed to be coming. Against this background, Wen Dao began to select the second batch of travelers. Unlike the first batch of travelers, Wen Dao expanded the scope of the traveler selection from Zeuxia Kingdom to the entire ancestral star. Facebook, Little Bluebird and other external network platforms have posted posts and videos in various languages asking, "Do you want to travel?" Anyone who left a message was marked by the Xian Dao system. Then, after going through a series of systematic screening, the best 1,000 people were selected. I hope your wisdom can promote the further development of Tianyuan realm's martial arts. Chapter 61 Lei Kang. Wen Dao's method of selecting travelers is very covered. Even if the officials of Zeuxia country already know that Wen Dao selects travelers through some posts, videos, and comments. But there are too many videos of this kind on the internet, and there are too many people who post such comments and posts. The official can't find the ones posted by Wen Dao from the massive amount of relevant information. So the second batch of travelers was thrown into the Tianyuan continent by Wen Dao quietly. At the same time, people all over the Zeuxing were in a coma. This time, many of them will become vegetative for several days, or even more than 10 days. because the time flow rate between Tianyuan continent and Zuxing is now 10 years. One day, if they practice blood and ki martial arts after crossing and reach the 4th heaven or above, then as long as there is no big accident, they can live smoothly to more than 100 years. Wen Dao thought of this, so he left a little trick on each traveler, providing them with a little heaven and earth vitality every day to supply the energy they need for their daily body. Even if the traveler lives alone, no relatives or friends will look for him for more than 10 days and find that he has become a vegetative. Their bodies would not die of hunger or thirst. After all, Wen Dao wanted them to come back to spread the supernatural system. They couldn't be allowed to die easily. 1,000 travelers, looking at the entire Zuxing, were just a drop in the ocean, not worth mentioning. On average, the number of travelers in the second batch in Zuxia was less than 200. The remaining 800 were from other countries. Tianyuan continent, Wu dynasty, Jiangzhou City, Jilei Wugwen. The owner Leiting paced anxiously outside the delivery room, looking into the house from time to time. Leiting, who was at the 4th level of martial arts, the blood furnace realm, actually had cold sweat on his forehead at this moment, which showed how excited and anxious he was. Why hasn't the baby been born yet? It's been an hour. In the delivery room, Mrs. Leiting's painful groans came one after another. The maids went in and out, bringing in clean hot water, and soon brought out bloody water. It was obvious that the delivery was not smooth and there was a dystocia. Fortunately, Mrs. Leiting is a warrior in the blood-moving realm, and her physical fitness is far superior to that of ordinary people. Otherwise, with such a large amount of bleeding, Mrs. Leiting would have died with the baby in her belly. Leiting waited anxiously for another half an hour, and just when he was feeling more and more uneasy, a crisp cry came from the delivery room, and Leiting's body couldn't help but tremble. It's born. It's born. It's a boy. Congratulations to Pavilion Master Lei, you have a baby. The midwife walked out of the room holding a wrinkled baby and congratulated Leiting with a happy face. Leiting's anxiety suddenly disappeared, but he didn't care about his newborn son and asked hurriedly, "How is my wife?" The midwife's smile faded and her face became a little solemn. "Thanks to my wife being a warrior, she is strong and healthy. Although she has a difficult delivery and heavy bleeding, her life is not in danger. It's just that her foundation may be damaged and her future martial arts path may be cut off. The owner needs to take more supplements for my wife these days to recuperate her body." Hearing this, the last stone in Leiting's heart finally fell. It's good that her life is not in danger. But then he felt a strong sense of guilt. Leiting strode into the room and came to his wife's bed. "Madam, you have suffered." The tired wife shook her head and smiled. "Husband, as long as our child is born smoothly, it's fine. Our child is born, you can give him a name." Leiting took the baby from the midwife's hands and looked at his blood-related son. His heart was full of happiness. "My son, from now on, you will be called Lei Kang." When the baby heard this, he was confused. He didn't understand what Leiting said at all. The baby had only one thought in his mind at this moment. "I have traveled through time. Did I die suddenly from staying up late?" Yes, this baby was one of the second batch of travelers. In Zuxing, Lei Kang was a martial arts enthusiast. Of course, Lei Kang's name in Zuxing was another one. Lei Kang had an extraordinary love for martial arts and had learned various martial arts from Zuxia. Southern Fist and Northern Leg, Tai, Bajiquan, Mantis boxing. Lei Kang had tried and learned all kinds of traditional Zuxia martial arts. Lei Kang also dabbled in the 18 kinds of weapons and had some experience in using them. It can be said that Lei Kang was also a little famous in the Zuxia martial arts world and was called a martial arts fanatic. However, compared with Mingyan's bloody martial arts, Lei Kang's martial arts skills were not even a little bit worse. When he saw Mingyan kill a wild boar with one punch, Lei Kang was shocked. So when he heard that Mingyan was going to recruit students, Lei Kang went to become his apprentice, wanting to learn the bloody martial arts. Unfortunately, Lei Kang was over the age limit. Yes, Lei Kang was just over 35 years old, a very embarrassing age in Zuxia country. Programmers and Taoist priests were not wanted. This also led to Lei Kang not being able to become Mingyan's apprentice. Regretfully, Lei Kang could only return home. But at this time, Lei Kang, for some reason, liked to comment in a video introducing martial arts that said people could travel through time. So, that night, Lei Kang turned into a baby. Although Lei Kang was 36 years old, his heart was not old, and he had read a lot of time travel novels. So after being shocked, Lei Kang accepted the fact that he had traveled through time. I just don't know what this world is like. Lei Kang was full of expectations. I hope this world is a world where I can practice martial arts. Time passed slowly, and Lei Kang grew up slowly, learning the language and writing of Tianyuan continent bit by bit. After the reform of Guteng's unified writing and unified wheel gauge, the characters of Tianyuan continent were simplified a lot, similar to the oracle bone script of Xuxia, which was simplified into small seal script. The characters and language have some similarities with the Chinese characters of Xuxia. This made it not too difficult for Lei Kang, who is also a Xuxia person, to learn. But for travelers from other countries, it was not very friendly. The difficulty of learning Chinese characters in Chinese is also the most difficult in the world. What's more, the Tianyuan characters are more difficult than Chinese characters. So foreign travelers can be said to be stumbling and painful to learn. However, travelers are elites selected from many people after all. In the strong cultural atmosphere, they slowly mastered the characters of Tianyuan continent. In the process of growing up, Lei Kang and others also gradually understood the basic situation of this world and knew that there was a supernatural power such as blood and key martial arts in this world. Like Lei Kang, his father is a martial artist, and there is a martial arts hall at home. Lei Ting would accept a group of disciples all year round and teach martial arts. This is great news for Lei Kang, who is a martial arts fanatic. Since Lei Kang could speak normally, he begged his father to learn martial arts. But Lei Ting would definitely not agree. Although the martial arts civilization of Tianyuan realm has developed for more than 300 years, and the understanding of martial arts is more profound. But the most suitable age to start martial arts has not changed at all. If Lei Kang wants to practice martial arts, he must start at least at the age of 8. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 62, Granting Knowledge. After getting the souls of the second batch of travelers to the Tianyuan continent, Wen Dao temporarily put his energy on another world of dust, Hangji realm. After nearly 1,000 years, 10 days on the ancestral star, the human civilization of Hangji Star has grown by leaps and bounds. From the Stone Age civilization to the Bronze Age civilization. The reason why Hangji Star can have such a fast development speed of civilization is naturally the intervention of the heavenly Dao system. It always subtly influences the humans of Hangji Star at the right time and guides them to develop civilization. The level of civilization has reached the Bronze Age, and basic writing has also been born. It's time to guide Hangji Star to develop an extraordinary system. Wen Dao stood in the air and looked down, waving his hand downward. Hundreds of meteorites of different sizes suddenly appeared above 100,000 meters in the sky, forming a huge meteor shower. The meteor shower cut through the sky and split into 3 streams flying to the 3 continents of Hangji Star. The high-speed flying meteors rubbed against the air to produce flames, emitting dazzling light, illuminating the night. Boom boom boom! Exclamation mark. After burning, the remaining meteors fell on the ground, bursting with powerful power and making earth-shaking sounds. Countless humans and animals who were sleeping were awakened by the sound of the falling meteors. All the beasts were startled and howled in the forest. The wild beasts near the meteor falling area fled one after another, not daring to stay there for too long. The humans who woke up from their slumber walked out of the thatched houses and stone houses, looking in fear at the direction of the falling meteors in the distance. At this moment, the confused humans regarded this as a miracle from the gods and knelt down and kowtowed. In fact, it was true that this was the handiwork of the god of creation. Hundreds of real-time images appeared in front of Wen Dao, corresponding to different meteorites. Without exception, they all fell near the human tribe, no more than 5 kilometers away. The sun and the moon rotate. The night passed quickly, and the sun rose to dispel the darkness, bringing in a peace to the people, who had been frightened all night. At this time, the humans of each tribe dared to walk out of the tribal fence with weapons, to look for the miracle that fell last night. 5 kilometers is not long for modern society, but Han Jiaxing is a primitive ancient society. There are barren mountains and wild ridges everywhere, covered with vegetation, and there are no fixed roads. It is not easy to cross mountains and ridges, to walk a distance of 5 kilometers. The tribal humans walked for several hours before they arrived at the location of the meteor. At the first sight of the meteor, the Han Jiaxing people could feel its extraordinariness. Even in the bright daytime, the meteor emits a strange light, like the most beautiful gem in the world. And the air near the meteor is particularly fresh. Everyone took a breath and felt that all their fatigue was eliminated. This is not an illusion. This is what really happened. The energy consumed by everyone because of crossing mountains and ridges is now recovering rapidly. Everyone walked a few more steps forward and arrived at a location 100 meters away from the meteor. Even their originally hungry stomachs seemed to be filled with food. Miracle. This is a miracle. The accompanying witch shouted, his eyes full of fanaticism. This is the sacred stone given to us by the great gods. It is used to alleviate the famine in our tribe. When everyone heard this, they were also enthusiastic. After all, this ironclad fact is right in front of them, and they are all experiencing it personally. Under the leadership of the witch, everyone kowtowed to the meteor. This is actually the credit of the vitality of heaven and earth. Yes, if Hangji Star wants to give birth to a supernatural system, then the vitality of heaven and earth is indispensable. So Wen Dao set these hundreds of meteors as the source of the vitality of heaven and earth in Hangji Star, so that they release the vitality of heaven and earth all the time. Of course, the effect of the meteor is only temporary. It can only last for 100 years. After 100 years, the origin contained in the meteor will be consumed and converted into the vitality of heaven and earth. These vitality of heaven and earth will spread throughout Hangji Star, enough to exist for thousands of years. Thousands of years are enough to form a prosperous supernatural civilization. Let's get back to the point. After the witch of the tribe held a ceremony to praise the gods on the spot, based on the sacred stone, everyone turned their attention to the meteor again, and prepared to bring the meteor back to their tribe. After all, this is a divine stone that can replace food. One breath can fill your stomach. If the divine stone is moved to the tribe, then no one in the tribe will have to eat or go out to hunt at the risk of their lives. But just as everyone put their hands on the divine stone and prepared to move it, a stream of knowledge flooded into their minds. This knowledge contains many human structures and some methods of absorbing the vital energy of heaven and earth. For everyone who comes into contact with the meteor, explain what Danshan, what meridians, and what ki are. This is the knowledge of ki that Wen Dao extracted from the blood and ki martial arts system. But it is the most basic. As for the more advanced knowledge of the extraordinary system of ki, the Hangji people need to figure it out by themselves. Although everyone accepts the same basic ki, because everyone has different ideas, their understanding of knowledge is naturally different. This may lead them to different paths. Some people may cultivate internal strength based on this knowledge, while others may cultivate true ki, internal strength, and so on. Anyway, as long as it belongs to the path of ki, it will be fine. Of course, in order to prevent the humans of Han Jiaxing from following the old path of Tianyuan Star and develop a supernatural system belonging to essence similar to the blood and ki martial arts system, Wen Dao specifically instructed the Tianyuan Dao system. Once there are signs of practicing blood and ki in blood, and body refining in Han Jiaxing, it will be intervened immediately. Of course, it is not to completely extinguish this path, but to artificially suppress the strength of the practitioners who take this path. For example, increase the difficulty of cultivation, or be weaker than the ki system practitioners of the same realm. Let the essence path not become the mainstream supernatural system of Han Jiaxing. It can only become a vassal of the ki path. After all, Wen Dao has set the fundamental development path for Han Jiaxing, that is, the path of practicing ki. For the path of practicing essence, the blood and ki martial arts of Tianyuan Star can be used for the time being. And if someone on Han Jiaxing is gifted and finds out the way to practice God, Wen Dao also has to express his admiration. Then, they would take the results of their cultivation for their own use without mercy, and when they created a new world in the future, they would put the results of their cultivation into the new world, and open up a perfect supernatural system belonging to God. In a word, whichever cultivation path was born on Hangji Star was good, they would guide the world to cultivate it. Anyway, all the knowledge of the supernatural system that was developed, in the end, was achieved by Wen Dao! The sweet fruits of civilization that they produced were finally picked by Wen Dao. Chapter 63 Meridian Martial Arts System. The existence of the sacred stone soon spread across the 3 continents. Even those tribes that were not near the meteorite fall area gradually learned about it. This suddenly changed the atmosphere on Hangji Star. Some large tribes saw that other small tribes had a sacred stone and no longer had to go out hunting. They suddenly felt unbalanced. Why didn't their tribe encounter a miracle? Why could these small tribes have sacred objects? With this mentality, some tribes brazenly attacked the tribe that had the meteor and seized control of the meteor from the latter. As for the defeated tribe, all the tribesmen became slaves. Other tribes saw that the tribe that seized the meteor was not punished by the gods for this matter. So, the last worries in their hearts finally dissipated. A war over the control of the meteor broke out on the 3 continents of Hangji Star. Countless tribes joined the war. Fighting took place all over Hangji Star, and countless families were broken up. Wives and children were separated, or died, or became slaves. During the war, many geniuses slowly figured out some basic cultivation methods, based on the knowledge they gained from meteors and the absorption of the heaven and earth energy emitted from meteors. Like the Tianyuan realm, the cultivation methods that were initially explored were also to cultivate the body and temper the flesh. Because the civilization level of Hangji Star is a primitive tribal society, in the minds of these primitive people, a good body can get more food and status. Naturally, the way they think of to become stronger is to increase the strength of the flesh. But this is not what Wen Dao needs. So the Wen Dao system immediately intervened in secret. For example, knowledge such as meridians and ancient flashed in their minds repeatedly. For example, suppressing the efficiency of Hangji Star people's flesh and blood. In absorbing the heaven and earth energy, the strength increase is very small, at most a little better than ordinary people. Another example is that after consciously guiding a part of the heaven and earth energy into the human body, it does not nourish the flesh and blood, but transfers to the meridians. Gradually, the wise men in Hangji Star discovered the mystery and cast their eyes on the danshan and meridians of the human body. They absorb the energy of heaven and earth, absorb it into the danshan in their bodies, and circulate it along the meridians in their bodies little by little. They combine the energy of heaven and earth with the energy in the human body, and transform it into a special energy. This energy has different names in various places on Hangji Star. Internal force, internal strength, true ki, yuanli, spiritual force, witch power, etc. But no matter what it is called, this energy cannot escape the scope of danshan and meridians. Humans have discovered that this special energy can greatly improve their strength, speed, flexibility, and ability to resist attacks. For example, if this energy is mobilized to the meridians of the right arm, the strength and destructive power of the right arm will be greatly improved. It is much better than simply tempering the flesh. As a result, the humans of Hangji Star abandoned the method of tempering the flesh and turned to practice ki. People who cultivate this energy are called warriors. However, only a small part of the human body can circulate the energy of heaven and earth, which is located on the surface of the body and is so small that it is almost non-existent. They are either naturally unobstructed or have fewer impurities, which can allow the energy of heaven and earth to circulate. However, the main meridians of the human body, such as the 12 main meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians, as well as some major meridians of slightly lower importance, which were mostly blocked and not opened up, were filled with impurities, just like the mud and stubborn stones on the riverbed, and the vitality of heaven and earth could not flow through them at all. Therefore, the warriors of Hangji Star began to try to mobilize the internal force and true ki in their bodies to impact the blocked 12 main meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians. However, this step is extremely dangerous, and the fragile meridians may be damaged if you are not careful. There is no one on Hanji Star like Minimum Yan, who was chosen by Wen Dao as a son of destiny. There is no divine object like the martial arts jade bee that can increase understanding, wisdom, and introspection of one's own body. It is impossible for one person to open up a complete cultivation system, so they can only use their lives as a price to explore the experience of opening up meridians bit by bit, leaving behind precious martial arts books for future generations, so that future generations can avoid detours. They use their blood to open up an extraordinary system for future generations. Exclamation mark. After more than 100 years of war, the tribes on the 3 continents of Hanji Star gradually unified their understanding of the extraordinary system and divided it into 3 extraordinary systems. Although it is called 3, in fact, in the eyes of Wen Dao, who has been observing Hanji Star, it is just 1. It's just that the names of this key on the 3 continents are inconsistent with the names of the realms of the extraordinary system. But generally speaking, they all follow the path of Danshan meridians. So after thinking about it, Wen Dao named the extraordinary system of Hanji Star as a meridian martial arts system, corresponding to the blood and ki martial arts system of the Tianyuan realm. Wen Dao looked at the names of the 3 realms below and the names of the ki in the body. Wen Dao directly selected the realm name recognized by countless people on the largest continent as the orthodox martial arts realm of Hanji Star. The energy cultivated in the body of Hanji Star is called internal force. Over the past 100 years, countless people have come forward to explore the martial arts realm. They are the first level, 12 meridians, the second level, 8 extraordinary meridians, and the third level, all meridians are open. This is the division made by the Hanji Star people according to the characteristics of the meridian martial arts system. The status of the 12 main meridians and the 8 extraordinary meridians in the human body is similar. But in the process of cultivation, it is easier to open up the 12 main meridians than the 8 extraordinary meridians. Therefore, when warriors open up the meridians, most of them will open up the 12 main meridians first. And when all the 12 main meridians are opened up, the internal force that can be accommodated in the warrior's body will be greatly increased. At this time, they will have the opportunity to open up the more difficult 8 extraordinary meridians. When the 8 extraordinary meridians are opened up, the warrior can control the internal force to circulate in the Danshan meridians in the body, which can improve the quality of the internal force. Next, if the warrior wants to increase the internal force and enhance the strength, he needs to turn his attention to the remaining meridians in the human body. This is the path of cultivation for warriors on Hanji Star, the meridian martial arts system. Exclamation mark. The first 3 realms of the meridian martial arts system correspond to the first 3 realms of the blood and ki martial arts system. In terms of strength, the warriors of the blood and ki martial arts are stronger than the warriors of the meridian martial arts. However, the martial artists of the meridian martial arts system are stronger in flexibility and speed than the martial artists of the blood martial arts system. And when the martial artists of the meridian martial arts system reach the realm of 12 meridians, they can barely release the internal force on the surface of the body and cover the internal force on the weapon. The stronger the strength, the greater the distance of the internal force release. The martial artists of the blood martial arts system can only achieve this when they reach the 4th level, blood furnace. The cultivation systems of the 2 worlds each have their own advantages. Exclamation mark. Chapter 64 Military Science. The 473rd year of the Wu Dynasty. In Jiangzhou, in the city of Jiangzhou, at Jilei Washu Hall. On the martial arts field, a 6 foot tall, according to the actual 33.3 centimeters per foot, young man in a neat martial arts uniform was practicing martial arts. The young man had a huge stone ball in each hand, which was constantly thrown up several meters high and then dropped. The young man accurately grasped the iron buckle on the stone ball and easily resolved the huge force of its fall, as if it were nothing. The whole process was so easy and carefree. Dozens of Jilei Washu Hall students who were practicing martial arts nearby saw this scene and were full of admiration and worship. Brother Lei Kang is so amazing. He can actually throw 3 stone balls back and forth. This stone ball is made of hard and heavy iron meteorite, and the weight of each one is 1,000 pounds. If you count the force of falling after throwing it, it may reach nearly 2,000 pounds. Looking at Brother Lei Kang, has he broken through to the third level of the blood coagulation realm? Brother Lei Kang is only 16 years old now. There are not many 16-year-old blood coagulation realm warriors in such a huge martial dynasty. Brother Lei Kang is worthy of being the #1 genius in Jiangzhou City. With the hearing of the young man, he could naturally hear the words of these martial arts students. But he did not feel complacent at all, and his face was still calm. After all, including the age of his previous life, Lei Kang's psychological age added up to more than 50 years old. Naturally, there is no so-called youthful spirit. Lei Kang prefers to put all his energy into martial arts practice. At this time, a middle-aged man with a strong figure and a majestic face walked out of the martial arts arena. Lei Kang put down the stone ball in his hand and said respectfully to the middle-aged man, "Father." "Yes." Lei Ting nodded slightly, his eyes full of relief and satisfaction. "Kanja, have you broken through to the blood coagulation realm?" Lei Kang nodded. "Yes, I have successfully condensed some blood essence in the past few days and broke through the bottleneck of the 6 tripods. Originally, with the 6 tripods power of Lei Kang at the peak of the blood moving realm, although he could also throw 2 stone balls for exercise, it would not be so easy. It was precisely because of the condensation of some blood essence that Lei Kang's power broke through the 6 tripods, and his physical fitness and power control were also improved. Lei Kang was able to do what he did just now. Hearing Lei Kang's affirmation, Lei Ting laughed heartily. "Great, great, great. It just so happens that the court's martial arts examination, which is held every 4 years, is about to begin." Lei Ting's eyes were full of expectations. "Kanja, with your strength, if you participate in the martial arts examination, you will definitely win the top prize." Zhangji Lei Wuguan Academy said excitedly. "That's right, with your strength, you can definitely win the top prize in the martial arts examination." The martial arts examination, the full name of which is the Martial Arts Imperial Examination, is listed as the second subject of the Wu Dynasty along with the Civil Service Examination. It was established by the founder of the Wu Dynasty, Wang Guteng, to absorb martial arts talents in the martial arts world. The importance and status of the martial arts examination are even higher than those of the Civil Service Examination. Because the warriors in this world are powerful, the social atmosphere is to respect the strong. From the name of the Wu Dynasty, it can be seen how high the status of warriors is in this world. "Martial arts?" Lei Kang whispered, but shook his head. "Father, there are countless geniuses in the Wu Dynasty. It is not so easy to win the top prize. Let alone the geniuses in other states and counties. There are several people in Jiangzhou whose talents are not inferior to mine. Jiang Heiang of Jiangzhou Nuteo Gang, Jiang Zheng, the young master of Langai County Jiang family, and Fang Ling of Ningcheng Yunhei sect." Lei Kang said in a deep voice, "These 3 people, like me, have reached the peak of the blood-moving realm a year ago. With their talents, it will not be long before they enter the blood coagulation realm." Lei Ting's face stagnated, and his face was somewhat helpless. What Lei Kang said was indeed right. In the past, a genius like Lei Kang who could reach the 3rd level of martial arts at the age of 16 was rare in a century. But for some reason in this world, the frequency of geniuses has been too high in the past 10 years. Practicing martial arts at the age of 8, entering the 1st level of martial arts at the age of 9, and entering the 2nd level of martial arts at the age of 12 or 13. This is the progress of Lei Kang's practice. And the 3 geniuses Lei Kang mentioned are basically at this level. A large group of geniuses were born in the same era. In the eyes of countless people, this is a flourishing era of martial arts. It is God's blessing on the martial arts dynasty. That's why Lei Kang dared not guarantee that he could win the top prize in this martial arts exam. Lei Ting said, "Kanja, you don't have to belittle yourself. 16-year-old blood coagulation warriors are rare even among geniuses." 3 months later, the martial arts exam selection will begin. It's unknown whether they can enter the blood coagulation realm within 3 months. Lei Ting patted Lei Kang on the shoulder and said, "During these 3 months, you should devote yourself to cultivation and condense your blood into refined blood. Your strength can at least reach the power of the 7th tripod." Lei Kang nodded slightly. This is indeed true. One step ahead leads to another. Lei Kang entered the blood coagulation realm first, so he can continue to accumulate strength. Unlike others, who were trapped in the bottleneck of the second heaven, they could not make progress as long as they did not enter the blood coagulation realm of the third heaven, and their strength was always at the power of the sixth tripod. I hope they can enter the blood coagulation realm. Lei Kang looked at the sky, his eyes burning with fighting spirit, because I hope to meet an opponent worthy of fighting in the martial arts department. Deep down, Lei Kang is a martial arts fanatic, eager to climb to a higher level of martial arts, and also yearns to fight with other martial artists. Through fighting with martial artists of the same level, Lei Kang can also find out his own shortcomings and become stronger. This is also the reason why Lei Kang is keen on fighting. It's just that his peers in Jiangzhou City are not his opponents at all. So Lei Kang's eyes are on other geniuses. The martial arts selection is a good opportunity. In the following days, Lei Kang continued to absorb the vitality of heaven and earth to replenish blood, and then condense more essence of blood. At the same time, he practiced the unique martial arts of Jilei Wugwen, the 4th grade martial arts, and the Jilei spearmanship. After nearly 1,000 years of development, the martial arts skills of Tianyuan continent have also formed a complete hierarchical system. Martial arts skills are collectively called martial arts, which can be divided into 6 grades, corresponding to the 6 levels of martial arts. The strength of a warrior, in addition to his blood and ki cultivation, depends on whether he has advanced martial arts. A good martial arts is of great help to a warrior's combat power. In the martial arts world, there are many descendants of major sects who have advanced martial arts and can defeat enemies above their level. Compared with the martial arts of those famous sects in the Wu dynasty, the extreme thunder spearmanship that Lei Kang learned can only be regarded as above average. In the Wu dynasty, the 6th grade martial arts are rare, and most of them are collected in the library of the Wu dynasty palace. A small number of them are in the top sects in the world. After all, the 6th grade martial arts can only be created by the peerless masters of the 6th level martial arts Blood and Ki Long River and some of the 5th level masters with amazing talents Blood and Ki like Dragon. Such a strong man can only be possessed by the royal family of the Wu dynasty and the famous sects. Chapter 65, A Gathering of Geniuses. In the martial arts world, 5th grade and 4th grade martial arts are among the best advanced martial arts, which are not available to ordinary people. Lei Kang was able to learn a 4th grade martial art because his father was a martial artist of the 4th level blood furnace. This extreme thunder spear technique was created by Lei Ting, based on his lifelong martial arts attainments. Lei Kang has only achieved a small success in the practice of this spear technique. To practice the extreme thunder spear technique to perfection, one must at least have the strength of the 4th level heaven, because only martial artists of the 4th level heaven can release blood and exert the true power of 4th grade martial arts. However, even a 4th grade martial art that has been practiced to a small success is much stronger than most 3rd grade martial arts. The Wu dynasty is huge and has countless geniuses. If you want to win the top spot in the martial arts category, you must be better than others in all aspects. So Lei Kang practiced hard day and night, not missing any way to improve himself. 3 months passed in a blink of an eye, and the new martial arts selection finally began. The warriors who can participate in the martial arts selection are between the ages of 15 and 25. There is no requirement for strength. As long as you think you are strong enough, even a second-rate warrior can sign up. But most second-rate young warriors will not do this. First, they know their own strength and generally will not participate in the martial arts to humiliate themselves and become a laughingstock. Second, there is a registration fee for the martial arts, and the amount is not cheap, requiring 1 gold yuan. The currency system of the Wu dynasty was founded by Gu Ting. 1 gold yuan equals 10 silver yuan equals 10,000 copper yuan. And because the Wu dynasty is the strongest country in the Tianyuan continent, this currency system gradually affects other small countries and becomes the recognized currency system of all countries in the Tianyuan continent. For ordinary people, 1 gold yuan can meet the consumption of a family of 4 for 3 months. Even a blood and ki realm warrior can use 1 gold yuan to buy food for 1 month of practice to maintain basic practice needs to become stronger. More resources are needed, and more money is spent. If one's own strength is stronger, it's fine. For example, if one's strength reaches the first level of the blood and ki realm, although one cannot go to the palace examination and state examination after the martial arts examination, but if one can get good results in the county examination and prefecture examination, it can be regarded as a success and can make a name for oneself in the local area. One can get the olive branch thrown by the local wealthy gentry. In the future, one can easily earn back the registration fee of 1 gold yuan. But if one is not a good warrior, don't join in the fun. Speaking of this, we have to mention the selection process of the martial arts examination in the Wu dynasty. The martial arts examination in the Wu dynasty is divided into 3 levels. The highest is naturally the palace examination, when the king of the Wu dynasty will be present to watch the most talented group of young warriors in the Wu dynasty fight. All the talented warriors who enter the palace examination, regardless of the victory or defeat in the palace examination, will be promoted by the king and entrusted with important tasks. Of course, the higher the ranking, the higher the official position awarded. The next level is a state examination. After the death of the first generation of the king, the Wu dynasty has never stopped fighting outside. Over the past 300 years, the Wu dynasty has successively destroyed some small countries, and its territory has expanded from Kyushu to 13 states, adding 4 states. This state test is a selection test within the 13 states. Of course, the Wu dynasty does not exclude talents from other countries in the Tianyuan continent to participate in the martial arts examination. The next level of martial arts selection is the county test. The Wu dynasty is a dynasty with a county system, and each state has many counties. Counties and counties are at the same level, but the territories of counties are usually larger. Only the top 5 are selected for each level of martial arts selection, to advance to a higher level of martial arts selection. In other words, in the huge Wu dynasty, with a population of tens of millions, only 65 people can enter the final palace test. It is really 1 in a million. Lei Kang, as a resident of Jiangzhou City, the capital of Jiangzhou, also has to participate in the county test. It's just that it is a county test in Jiangzhou City. Jiangzhou City has a large population, with hundreds of thousands of people all year round, so the city is divided into multiple areas, and county tests are conducted separately. This process is not difficult at all for Lei Kang, the first genius in Jiangzhou City. Without spending too much effort, Lei Kang passed the first martial arts selection with the first place. During this process, Lei Kang's blood coagulation realm cultivation was exposed. The news that Lei Kang broke through to the blood coagulation realm at the age of 16 spread quickly throughout Jiangzhou City and spread outside the city. In the previous 3 months, in order to make his son a sensation, Lei Ting specifically instructed other disciples in the martial arts hall not to disclose the news of Lei Kang's breakthrough. These disciples were indeed tight-lipped and never leaked the news. Countless wealthy families and martial arts gangs in Jiangzhou City were shocked by the news, but on second thought, they felt it was natural. After all, Lei Kang's reputation as a genius had spread throughout Jiangzhou City a few years ago. There were some blood coagulation realm warriors aged 15 or 16 in the hundreds of years before the Wu dynasty. What's more, now is the heyday of martial arts, and geniuses are emerging. It is understandable that Lei Kang can break through the blood coagulation realm at the age of 16. Lei Kang is worthy of being the unicorn son of Jiangzhou City. Many people were thinking about whether there were unmarried women of the same age as Lei Kang and their families or clans who wanted to marry Lei Kang. Jilei Wuguan has become very lively these days. There are always wealthy families, gentry and wealthy businessmen coming to visit and express their desire to become relatives with Lei Ting. Or they hold various banquets to invite Lei Kang. But all of these were politely rejected by Lei Kang, saying that his mind is now on the martial arts. He needs to devote himself to training and prepare for the next state test. The state test will be later, half a month after the county test. This is also convenient for the talents selected by the counties to have enough time to go to the provincial capitals of various states. Lei Kang is originally from Jiangzhou City, so he doesn't need to travel like other people, and he can have more time to practice. However, for the palace test later, Lei Kang needs to rush to the capital of the Wu dynasty, Wujing City. Half a month is not long, but not short. During this period, geniuses from all over Jiangzhou came to Jiangzhou City one after another. The wealthy families, gentry and wealthy businessmen in Jiangzhou City held banquets every day these days, inviting all the geniuses and investing in them. They either gave money, precious medicinal materials, or beautiful women. Some who were willing to spend a lot of money even gave 1 or 2 third-grade martial arts. Of course, there were naturally fights in Jiangzhou City, especially after the geniuses from all over the country came to Jiangzhou City. There were many more fights in the city. After all, warriors are used to solving all problems with force. Geniuses are arrogant people, unwilling to be inferior to others, and often because of some small conflicts, bigger fights broke out. For example, for a certain beauty, for the ownership of a certain treasure, and so on. In the few days before the state test, Jiangzhou City was very lively, which brought a lot of talk to the local people before and after dinner. In this way, the day of the state test came quietly. Chapter 66 The Situation of the Wu Dynasty. The state examination came as scheduled, and the whole Jiangzhou City was bustling with excitement because of it. Lei Ting, Lei Kang, Liu Zion and a group of disciples from Jilei Wuguan walked in groups to the place where the state examination was held, the square in front of the prefectural mansion in Jiangzhou City. Unlike the civil service examination, the selection of the martial arts examination is open to the public. After all, the martial arts examination looks at personal strength, and there is no way to cheat like the civil service examination. Opening to the outside world, on the one hand, can collect some tickets to subsidize local finances. This was formulated by the first generation of human kings. On the other hand, it can enhance the people's yearning for martial arts. Along the way, the state government's constables and soldiers wearing armor to maintain public order can be seen everywhere on the streets. The martial arts style of the Wu dynasty is strong. If there are no court soldiers to maintain order, it is easy for the people watching the battle to break out into a fight because of a little conflict. The battle may cause a greater commotion later, plunging the entire city into chaos. Therefore, when each martial arts examination is held, constables and soldiers from all over the country will come to guard and maintain public order. What's more, the Wu dynasty is now in a state of undercurrent, and there are many traitors who are trying to disrupt the world with the help of the military examination. Officials from all over the country dare not slack off, fearing that rebellions will occur in the places they govern. Lei Kang walked along the way, looking at the lively street scenes along the way, seeing countless vendors shouting enthusiastically, and seeing the majestic people in the rivers and lakes holding swords. On an inland river passing through Jiangzhou City, exquisite and luxurious boats are rampant, and the nobles and women on them can be vaguely seen pointing at the people on the shore. It is a Wu dynasty version of the King Ming Shangtu. But under this lively city painting, Lei Kang saw a crisis that ordinary people could not perceive. Every time he passed the streets, Lei Kang's amazing eyesight could see the yellow-faced, thin, and ragged beggars hidden in the depths of the alleys. These beggars hid in the corners, looking at the lively scenes outside, with numb faces. The fragrant food on the street kept making them swallow their saliva. Unfortunately, they dare not go out to the streets to beg. Because it is now the period of the state examination, martial artists and local gentry from all over the country come to Jiangzhou City. The masters of Jiangzhou City naturally cannot tolerate these beggars affecting the city appearance. So these beggars can only hide in the demales and dare not go out to beg on the streets. They are afraid of being caught and killed by the patrolling constables and soldiers. Lei Kang looked at the contrasting scenery in silence and couldn't help but think of a poem by Zhu Crossing. The rich have wine and meat, and there are frozen bones on the road. The Wu dynasty of this era is so similar to the description of the poem. Exclamation mark. The end of the Wu dynasty is coming soon. Lei Kang sighed in his heart. Although Lei Kang is a martial arts fanatic, he is not a naive martial artist who never goes out and knows nothing about the affairs of the rivers and lakes and the country. In recent years, in order to hone his martial arts and find opportunities for breakthroughs, Lei Kang has traveled in Jiangzhou. He has seen with his own eyes how hard and poor the lives of the people in the Wu dynasty are. He has seen many people sell their children to survive, and their families are broken up by the nobles and gentry. All of this shows that the Wu dynasty is heading towards the end of the feudal dynasty. The world will usher in a turmoil when the accumulated contradictions erupt. the first king of the Wu dynasty. Guteng, as a student of history and archaeology, naturally knows the history of the dynasties of the Xia kingdom, and understands the reasons for their demise. So when he established the Wu dynasty, he summarized the advantages and disadvantages of each dynasty, and formulated many policies, such as abolishing slavery, promoting the land tax, etc., in order to maintain the long-term rule of the Wu dynasty. Unfortunately, no matter how Guteng formulates policies, he cannot change the fact that the Wu dynasty is a feudal dynasty. After all, the productivity of the Wu dynasty is there. Guteng led a group of time travelers and experimented for more than 100 years, but failed to invent steam engines, electricity and other energy sources that can greatly increase productivity. At most, water conservancy projects were built on the banks of various major rivers in the Wu dynasty to facilitate agricultural irrigation, improve agricultural farming methods and tools, cultivate high-yield crops, etc., to improve agricultural productivity. This move was indeed a good one for Guteng, who was the king of the human race for more than 100 years. The productivity was greatly improved, making the Wu dynasty have abundant food, which can support a large population and indirectly promote the abolition of slavery. But he underestimated the speed of population growth in the Wu dynasty. More than 300 years after Guteng's death, the population of the Wu dynasty continued to increase. In addition, the population of the 4 states conquered by the Wu dynasty was also not small. To date, the population of the Wu dynasty has increased by more than 10 or 20 times compared to when the dynasty was founded. The various measures left by Guteng and the improved productivity can no longer meet the needs of all the people in the Wu dynasty. In addition, the nobles, gentry, and warriors rely on money, power and strength to continuously annex land and extort the people's fat. At this time, the Wu dynasty has long reached the end of the feudal dynasty. The world will be divided after a long period of unity, and will be united after a long period of division. Lei Kang, who knows this well, can foresee that the Wu dynasty, the largest dynasty in the Tianyuan continent, is about to usher in the first dynasty change. It's just that the Wu dynasty will be overthrown by other heroes and a new dynasty will be established. Or like the Han dynasty of Zuxing, using war to clear the dynasty's chronic illness and usher in the rebirth of the dynasty. That is not what Lei Kang can foresee. Forget it, I'm just a commoner now, a warrior in the blood coagulation realm. What will happen to the Wu dynasty? How can I worry about it now? Lei Kang shook his head and threw these distracting thoughts behind him. Now I still have to think about passing the Wu selection. Although the Wu dynasty has signs of the dynasty's demise, as the saying goes, a lean camel is bigger than a horse. The foundation accumulated by the Wu dynasty for hundreds of years is still very rich. So Lei Kang knew that the situation of the Wu dynasty was shaky, but he still chose to participate in the Wuk. The purpose is to get benefits from the Wu dynasty. You must know that the champion of the Wuk, in addition to being able to be appointed as an official, will also get some substantial benefits. For example, you can enter the Royal Scripture Pavilion to obtain any 5th grade martial arts, as well as 100 Yuan stones and so on. In the future, if Lei Kang cultivates to the peak of the 4th heaven, he can also get the cultivation method of breaking through to the 5th and 6th heavens from the royal family. Generally speaking, before the Wu dynasty is destroyed, there are still many benefits to joining it. As for the future, if there are wars everywhere in the Wu dynasty and people rebel, whether Lei Kang will protect or rebel depends on his status at that time. Let's get back to the point. After passing through the sea of people, Lei Kang and others finally arrived at the square in front of the prefect's mansion. At this time, 10 arenas have been built on the square for the selection of martial arts. Lei Kang, his parents, and his fellow apprentices said goodbye and entered from the competition channel on the side, waiting for the state examination to begin. Lei Ting and others walked to the front row in a corner of the audience. After all, Lei Ting is a 4th level warrior and a well-known person in Jiangzhou City. Not to mention that he now has a son who is the #1 genius in Jiangzhou City, so it is easy to get some front row seats. Chapter 67 State Examination. Please read on. Dung! Exclamation mark. Lei Kang didn't have to wait long after entering the venue. When it was noon, a large bronze bell standing in front of the prefect's mansion was struck. The grand bell sounded earth-shaking, suppressing the noisy voices in the square, and the sound spread for several miles. Most of Jiangzhou city heard the bell. Lei Kang, who had closed his eyes to rest, opened his eyes. The state examination is about to begin. The other young warriors around also stood up and walked out of the waiting room. The crowd, which had originally quieted down, saw a group of young warriors appear and immediately set off a noise again. Look at the tall boy wearing the martial arts uniform of the Jilei Martial Arts Hall. That's Lei Kang, the #1 genius in our Jiangzhou city. It is said that he is already a strong man in the 3rd level of the blood coagulation realm. So amazing. I have practiced for more than 30 years, and now I'm only at the peak of the blood and ki realm. I didn't expect that Lei Kang would achieve such an achievement at the age of 16. A middle-aged man sighed. Sometimes the gap between people is greater than the gap between people and dogs. The productivity of Tianyuan continent is not high, and the resources are far less abundant than those of Zuxing. Most of the warriors are trapped in the inferior and blood realms. Very few can reach the blood coagulation realm. And the black-clothed boy over there is Jiang Zheng, the young master of the Jiang family in Langar County. He is also a genius whose talent is not inferior to Lei Kang. It is said that Jiang Zheng once fought back and forth with a blood coagulation realm warrior and escaped from his hands. The Jiang family is one of the top 5 great families in Jiangzhou, and there is an ancestor of the 5th heaven in the clan. Yes, Jiang Zheng must have practiced the 5th grade martial arts of the Jiang family. Otherwise, how could he fight against a blood coagulation realm master with the strength of the blood moving realm? That boy is Jiang Haiyang of the Nuteo gang. He is proficient in the 3rd grade martial arts 9-fold waves. That girl is the eldest sister of the younger generation of Linglong Pavilion. Lei Kang stood in a corner of the square, observing the other state test contestants with his eyes. Jiang Zheng, Jiang Haiyang, Fang Ling, Shen Zina. Lei Kang matched each name with the others in his mind. Those who could pass the county exams were at least at the peak of the blood key realm, possessing the power of the 3 tripods, and there were only a few of them. Most of them were at the 2nd heaven blood moving realm. And as Lei Kang expected, in addition to him, there were several people who had reached the blood coagulation realm in this state exam. 3 of them were about the same age as Lei Kang, around 16 years old. When Wen Dao sent the 2nd batch of travelers into the Tianyuan realm, he did not let them be born at the same time. Instead, he staggered them and put their souls into different fetuses in different places. After all, the roots of travelers must be selected well. This way, travelers will have the opportunity to cultivate to a higher realm and help Wen Dao perfect the blood key martial arts in the future. Therefore, there will be a deviation of 1 or 2 years in the year and month of the traveler's birth. There are also 2 people who are older, at the age of 23 or 24, close to the last age limit of the martial arts. In this state exam of Jiangzhou, 6 young talented warriors in the blood coagulation realm appeared! However, there are only 5 people who can go to the capital for the palace examination. One of them is destined to be eliminated. When Lei Kang was thinking about who is most likely to be eliminated, a loud voice interrupted him. The governor is here. After the 3 bells stopped, the red gate of the governor's mansion opened, and several people wearing Wu Dynasty official uniforms walked out of the gate. The leader was the governor of Jiangzhou, Duan Yan, whose status in Jiangzhou is above 10,000 people. There are not many people in the world who are higher than him. There are only 13 states in the Wu Dynasty. Duan Yan and a group of Jiangzhou high-level officials walked to the VIP seats on one side of the square. Here, you can have a panoramic view of the battles in the 10 arenas. Governor Duan Yan sat down and nodded to indicate that the state examination could begin. Dang, another bell rang, and an official walked to the center of the square and announced the rules of the state examination. The state examination is basically the same as the county examination. They both draw lots to decide their opponents and compete in the arena. Simple and crude. There are 51 counties in Jiangzhou, plus the 8 districts of Jiangzhou city itself. That is to say, a total of 295 people entered the state examination. The odd number of people means that there will be buys in several rounds. Moreover, in this case of drawing lots, it is easy for 2 geniuses in the blood coagulation realm to face each other in the first few rounds. This leads to the elimination of the most talented people first. This is not a shortcoming of the Wu dynasty's martial arts system, but a special creation by the founder of the martial arts system, King Kuteng. Because in his opinion, luck is also an important part of cultivation. If you really can't go further in the martial arts because of bad luck, there is nothing you can do. What's more, it doesn't mean that you can't continue to serve the court after being eliminated. They also have other ways to join the court. It's just that the martial arts is the fastest one. Let's get back to the point. After the official announced the rules, he immediately asked Lei Kang and others to go to the VIP seats to draw lots. Lei Kang reached into a box that was completely black and couldn't see the inside and took out a wooden sign. Ding Jiu. The wooden signs of the state examination are generally written with corresponding to 10 arenas. Then add a number at the end. There are 295 people in the Jiangzhou state test, so the number at the end will be 15. The sunflower cards only go up to 13, and there is an extra blank wooden card as a buy. Lei Kang's wooden card is Ding Jiu, which means he will appear in the 9th game of the Ding-shaped ring. It seems that I need to wait for a long time. If the difference in strength between the two sides of the competition is large, it will be fine, and the battle can be ended quickly. But if the strength of both sides is in the blood-moving realm, the difference is not big. Then they will fight for a long time. 8 blood-moving realm competitions will take at least 2 or 3 hours, and it may take as long as 4 or 5 hours. This is why Lei Kang said that it will take a long time to wait. After everyone draws lots, the state test ring competition will start immediately. Each ring has a master of the 3rd level blood coagulation realm as the referee of the competition. And they are not ordinary blood coagulation realms. They have been immersed in this realm for many years and their strength has reached the peak. With their strength, it is enough to ensure that there will be no death during the competition. Of course, there will still be injuries. Lei Kang sat in the spectator seat nearby, waiting closely. Time passed by little, and the first round of the state examination went smoothly. Every fierce battle between the talented warriors made the countless people watching around the square cheer wildly, their blood boiling, and they wanted to rush to the ring to fight. The martial spirit of the Wu dynasty can be seen from this. The surrounding constables and soldiers were highly nervous. If there was any sign of conflict among the audience, they would rush over to stop it immediately, to prevent the conflict from escalating. Chapter 68, Battle. Please read. When other people were fighting, Lei Kang was not just waiting. When Jiang Zheng, Fang Ling, Jiang Haiyang and other geniuses in the blood coagulation realm were fighting, Lei Kang would go to their ring to watch the fight, wanting to see their true strength and various trump cards. However, their opponents were all warriors in the blood-moving realm, and they were the weaker ones in the blood-moving realm, with only the power of 4 or 5 tripods. It was unknown whether the officials in charge of drawing lots had done something in secret, not wanting the stronger ones to meet in advance. So the process of Jiang Zheng and others fighting was very fast. In just over 10 moves, they defeated their opponents neatly. Lei Kang had no time to see what their methods were. When the sun in the sky gradually moved to the west, it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and Lei Kang's first ring battle arrived. Lei Kang came to the T-shaped ring, kicked his feet, and his figure jumped onto the ring half a meter high. Lei Kang's opponent was a burly young man about 20 years old, who was half a head taller than Lei Kang, and his muscles looked very eye-catching. The burly young man's face was full of reluctance at the moment. I didn't expect to meet one of the 6 great geniuses of Jiangzhou in the first round. The burly young man felt sympathetic. The 6 great geniuses of Jiangzhou. This is what the martial artists in Jiangzhou city call Lei Kang, Jiang Zheng and other geniuses who have entered the blood coagulation realm these days. The burly young man's strength has reached the peak of the blood moving realm, and his strength is about 2,800 kilograms. Among all the martial arts contestants, he is also among the best. If he hadn't met Lei Kang, although he couldn't enter the palace examination, he could also get a good ranking in the state examination. It's a pity that all this is gone. Although he knew that he was not Lei Kang's opponent, the burly young man did not intend to give up easily. After all, he had reached the state examination. The burly young man was one of the top 5 geniuses in his county and had his own pride. The burly young man had a serious face. holding a huge hammer as big as a millstone in each hand, each weighing at least 1 or 200 kilograms. Qingfeng County, Carolina. Please teach me. Lei Kang's eyes were calm, and he took down the spear on his back. This spear was also heavy, weighing 120 kilograms. Jiangzhou City, Lei Kang. The referee on the side saw that the two were ready and announced the start of the fight. Kill. The burly young man Carolina knew that he was weaker, so he took the initiative, holding a huge hammer, and rushed towards Lei Kang violently like a chariot running away. Every time Carolina, who weighed 400 to 500 kilograms, stepped on the ground, the ring would shake. Facing the attack of the burly young man, Lei Kang's face became solemn. As a martial arts fanatic, Lei Kang went all out for every battle. Clang! Exclamation mark. The spear came out like a dragon, and Lei Kang's spear hit the huge hammer horizontally, dissolving the extremely violent attack of the burly young man. Even the powerful force erupted from the collision of the weapons of both sides made Carolina's body tremble, and he couldn't help but step back a few steps. Then, Lei Kang's attacks followed. The 100-pound spear in Lei Kang's hand was like floating hair, waving countless spear shadows, and attacking Carolina frantically. Carolina, as a genius, had a lot of combat experience, but he only had time to parry once or twice, and was beaten back by Lei Kang's attack. Carolina used a third-grade martial arts hammer method in an attempt to break this situation, but it didn't work at all. The power gap between the two sides was too big. After resisting Lei Kang's 13 moves, Carolina was finally defeated. His tiger's mouth burst out countless blood, and the giant hammers in both hands fell off. Seeing this, Carolina could only choose to admit defeat. So far, Lei Kang won the first round. In the audience, a group of academy disciples of Ji Lei Wuguan cheered and shouted Lei Kang's name loudly. Lei Kang put away his spear and turned to walk down the ring. He glanced and immediately saw Jiang Zheng, Fang Ling and others not far from the T-shaped ring. Obviously, they also came to watch Lei Kang's fight and wanted to see what Lei Kang's martial arts moves were like. However, like them, Lei Kang did not use much strength and martial arts in this battle. He only used less than 60% of his strength. Feeling Lei Kang's gaze, the elegant Jiang Zheng beside him gently waved his feather fan and nodded slightly to Lei Kang. It seems that this Lei Kang is a strong opponent. The first round of the state examination ended smoothly before the sunset. This battle decided 148 people, one of whom was a lucky buy. The second round of the competition will be 3 days later. Because many young warriors consumed most of their blood and energy in the first round of battle. As for Lei Kang and several warriors in the blood coagulation realm, their blood and energy were not consumed much. It is not easy for warriors to restore their blood and energy. Just relying on eating blood food and then practicing to transform it into blood and energy is still very slow. Of course, if there is enough money, buy some precious medicinal materials and take them, the speed of blood and energy recovery will be faster. In general, 3 days is enough for this group of young warriors who are in the blood moving realm to recover. The young warriors who entered the second round practiced and recovered in their respective homes or inns to prepare for the next battle. Those who were eliminated in the first round were invited by the wealthy families in Jiangzhou to attend various banquets and have fun every night. Although they lost in the competition, their talents were extremely high in Jiangzhou and even in the entire Wu dynasty. According to the experience of previous martial arts, they could at least reach the blood coagulation realm, and most of them could even reach the 4th level of the blood furnace realm. So naturally there were countless forces who wanted to win them over. Of course, more of them were taken in by the governor of Jiangzhou, Tianyuan. In name, they joined the Wu dynasty, but in fact, they became Tianyuan's retainers. This kind of thing has been going on for 4 or 5 sessions, since Tianyuan took office as the governor of Jiangzhou. From this, it can be seen that the control of the Wu dynasty royal family over the local area has been greatly weakened. In the days that followed, the state examinations were carried out in an orderly manner. The second round of competitions, the third round of competitions, until the 5th round of competitions, Lei Kang came through with great momentum. He did not meet other geniuses in the blood coagulation realm. The same was true for others. Obviously, there was indeed a shady plot in the draw for the state examination, which was secretly manipulated by officials to prevent stronger geniuses from meeting in advance. In these rounds of state examinations, several dark horses also appeared. Although they were weaker in strength, they possessed more advanced martial arts and had rich combat experience. With this, they defeated the strong with the weak several times in a row. But in the end, no matter how dark these dark horses were, it was useless. After all, they failed to enter the blood coagulation realm. If it were an ordinary blood coagulation realm warrior, it would be fine. With their combat power, they might be able to challenge higher level warriors. But Lei Kang and the others, who is not a genius? How could they be given the opportunity to challenge higher level warriors? When the 5th round of the competition was over, only 10 people were left. As soon as the battle was over, the governor in the VIP seat finally stood up. 3 days later, the last round of the state examination will begin. The winner can enter the palace examination. Go to the capital to meet the current human king. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 69 Treat, Behead, Accept as a Dog. Thank you for your kindness, Lord Governor, but I only have martial arts in my heart, and I don't want to marry and have children for the time being. In Jilei Martial Arts Hall, Lei Kang once again declined the marriage proposal. But this time, the one who refused was Tianyuan, the most powerful governor in Jiangzhou. The steward of the governor's mansion was smiling when he came, but now his face has become very calm. In this case, I will not disturb Mr. Lei's practice. The steward waved his sleeves, snorted lightly, and immediately left Jilei Martial Arts Hall with his men. After the steward of the governor's mansion went away, Lei Ting sighed. Kanja, the governor proposed to marry his niece to you, in order to win you over. Now that you refuse the marriage proposal, you are refusing to become his person. I'm afraid that the governor's mansion will suppress us in the future. Lei Kang naturally understood this truth, but he still didn't think so. Father, in this world, the strong are respected after all. Although Governor Duan is extremely powerful and can cover the sky with one hand in Jiangzhou, but as long as I become a top martial artist of the 5th and 6th levels of martial arts, I will not be afraid of the power of a governor. Lei Kang believes that with his talent, after passing the palace examination and obtaining the resources of the Wu dynasty, he will definitely be able to enter the 4th and 5th levels of martial arts. At that time, his status in the Wu dynasty will not necessarily lose to Tianyuan. Lei Ting shook his head and walked into the house with his hands behind his back. Well, you have grown up and can make your own decisions. I won't interfere in these matters. Lei Kang held a spear and continued to practice martial arts in the martial arts field. The last round of the state examination has arrived. Lei Kang and his 10 people came to the square early. The scale of the surrounding people was still huge, and the deafening sound spread throughout Jiangzhou City. Most of the residents in Jiangzhou City came to see the last battle of the state examination. These are the 10 most talented people in Jiangzhou, and each of them is a genius picked from 100 miles away. 6 of them are masters of the blood coagulation realm. You have to know that in the past martial arts examinations, it was very difficult for 1 or 2 blood coagulation realm geniuses to appear in one session, not to mention 6 at once. Exclamation mark. That is to say, 2 blood coagulation realm geniuses are destined to face each other, and one of them will be eliminated. Their confrontation is definitely very exciting. All the people in Jiangzhou City who have no urgent matters will put down their work and come to watch this competition. Please draw lots. Lei Kang and his 10 people stepped forward and took out a wooden sign in turn. Or 3. Lei Kang rubbed the words on the wooden sign with his fingers and looked at the other 9 people, wanting to know who his opponent was. Suddenly, Lei Kang felt a gaze looking at him. Lei Kang turned his head and found that it was a slender man in green. Duan Xian'er. Lei Kang's eyes condensed. This person is the adopted son of Jiangzhou Governor Tianyuan, and is also one of the 6 blood coagulation realm geniuses in this state examination. However, Duan Xian'er and Lei Kang are not of the same generation. He is 8 years older than Lei Kang. Duan Xian'er is also in the blood coagulation realm, but he is stronger than Lei Kang. Because he entered the blood coagulation realm 2.5 years ago. 2.5 years is enough for him to condense most of his blood. It can be said that Duan Xian'er is the strongest among the crowd, followed by Lei Kang and the other 5 blood coagulation geniuses. Duan Xian'er is looking at Lei Kang with a playful look at this moment, and raised the wooden sign in his hand to him. Lei Kang suddenly felt something was wrong. Lei Kang narrowed his eyes slightly. Could it be that my opponent is him? It seems that the governor is still dissatisfied with my refusal to marry. Wu Ke is a way for Wu Dynasty to select young talented warriors. If the 5 people who enter the palace examination are all Duan Yan's people, then when they grow up in the future, it will be a great help to Duan Yan. After Lei Kang refused the marriage, he was regarded as an outsider by Duan Yan, and it was naturally impossible for him to successfully enter the palace examination. Those who are not useful to me, kill them and abandon them. So Duan Yan intervened in this last round of state examinations and let the most powerful Duan Xian'er eliminate Lei Kang. After all, the other 4 are only comparable to Lei Kang in strength, and may not be able to defeat Lei Kang. What Lei Kang had communicated with Lei Ting before was indeed correct. After growing up, he doesn't have to worry about Duan Yan, the governor of a region. But he has to grow up first. Only those who grow up are called geniuses and strong people. Those who don't grow up and die on the road of cultivation are called negative examples. Before becoming the 5th heaven, Lei Kang wanted to fight Duan Yan, but he was still far away. If Lei Kang can't enter the palace examination, he can't get the resources of the Wu dynasty. In addition, if he stays in Jiangzhou, he will only be suppressed by Duan Yan, and it will be difficult to find cultivation resources and advanced techniques. It is extremely difficult to grow. At that time, Lei Kang will either choose to swallow his anger and be trapped in the 4th heaven for decades like his father, and finally die in depression. Or he will rise up in anger and face the governor's mansion, and then be beaten to death by the strong men of the governor's mansion. Or he will break his pride and be accepted as a dog by the governor. Treat him to a meal, behead him, and accept him as a dog. This is the usual method used by wealthy families to deal with ordinary talented warriors. Now that Lei Kang has rejected Duan Yan's treat, the latter will use the second method of beheading. Lei Kang has lived 2 lives, so how could he not know the mystery of this? Now that he doesn't want to be a dog, he has only one way, that is to win this battle smoothly and enter the palace examination. Lei Kang's heart is cold, but he is still full of fighting spirit. Duan Xian'er, I want to see if you can stop me from entering the palace examination. The 10 people took out their own wooden cards for drawing lots and determined their respective opponents. They stepped onto the ring respectively. This time, the referee of the competition became a warrior from the 4th heaven. On the ring, Duan Xian'er held a dark green long sword, matched with his green clothes and handsome face, and he was a handsome swordsman. In comparison, the burly Lei Kang on the other side looked far less handsome and unrestrained than Duan Xian'er. But Duan Xian'er looked at Lei Kang, who was 8 years younger than him, and he couldn't help feeling jealous. Come on, Lei Kang, let me see the strength of the number 1 genius in Jiangzhou City. The original number 1 genius in Jiangzhou City was Duan Xian'er. But with the exposure of Lei Kang's blood coagulation realm, this title became Lei Kang's. After all, one reached the blood coagulation realm at the age of 22, and the other reached the blood coagulation realm at the age of 16. Anyone with a discerning eye can see the difference in talent between the two. This has always made Duan Xian'er feel unhappy and jealous. Last night, he received an order from his adoptive father to keep Lei Kang out of the palace examination. Duan Xian'er was so happy at that time. He will let hundreds of thousands of people in Jiangzhou City know that he, Duan Xian'er, is the number 1 genius! Exclamation mark. Start. As the referee's voice fell, Duan Xian'er and Lei Kang moved at the same time. The distance of dozens of meters was crossed in an instant, and the two fought at close range. Sword shadows and gun flowers continued to appear and collide on the ring, bursting out sparks. Chapter 70. Entering the macro level. Duan Xian'er's strength is indeed very strong. His strength alone exceeds the strength of 8 tripods, reaching more than 4,000 kilograms. Compared with Lei Kang's strength, he is 1 tripod stronger. In the past 3 or 4 months, Lei Kang's strength has successfully reached the strength of 7 tripods. In addition, Duan Xian'er is the adopted son of the governor Duan Yan, and most of the martial arts he can learn are of the 3rd and 4th grades. Compared with Lei Kang's extreme thunder spearmanship, he is only stronger, not weaker. So in the battle between Lei Kang and Duan Xian'er, Lei Kang was at a disadvantage in the eyes of outsiders at the beginning. The disciples of the Jilei martial arts hall who were watching the battle on the side saw this scene and couldn't help but raise their hearts. Duan Xian'er's strength is stronger than my brother. A female student showed anxiety in her eyes. What should I do? My brother won't be defeated. Absolutely impossible. My brother is the #1 genius in Jiangzhou City. He will never lose. My brother is going to enter the palace examination. He will definitely not fail in the state examination. Come on, my brother. The disciples of the Jilei martial arts hall shouted loudly, cheering for Lei Kang on the stage. The audience around was also cheering for Lei Kang. Of course, Duan Xian'er also had many supporters. After all, he was the former #1 genius in Jiangzhou City, handsome and unrestrained, and he was also the adopted son of the governor. There were many young women in Jiangzhou City who were attracted to him. Lei Kang only had Duan Xian'er and the sword in his hand in his eyes, and did not respond to the cheers of others. He entered the fighting state. Lei Kang was a martial arts fanatic, no matter which world he was in. Once he entered the fighting state, all his mind was only the word fighting, and his spirit would be raised to the peak state. At this moment, his strength would become stronger. Lei Kang adjusted his breathing according to a certain pattern, and controlled the circulation of every ray of blood in his body. He stepped out a special step, performed a 3rd grade body technique, and wandered in the sword shadows. Since Duan Xian'er's strength was greater, Lei Kang would not fight him head on with weapons, but would fight with his body technique to find Duan Xian'er's flaws. Once Duan Xian'er reveals a flaw, Lei Kang's gun will attack quickly, seizing the opportunity to defeat him with 1 blow. Want to use body skills to delay? Duan Xian'er immediately saw Lei Kang's intention. Okay, I want to see whether your body skills can hold up longer or my sword skills can be used longer. Thinking in his heart, Duan Xian'er immediately displayed a mysterious 4th grade swordsmanship. He has much more advanced martial arts than Lei Kang. Lei Kang actually has a lot of experience in swordsmanship. When he was in the Ancestral Star, Lei Kang had learned various traditional Xuexia martial arts, and dabbled in all kinds of weapons. Although because of his father in this life, Lei Kang put more thought into gun skills. But Lei Kang's attainments in swordsmanship are also not weak. So in the face of Duan Xian'er's martial arts and swordsmanship, Lei Kang can see some of its trajectories and intentions, and constantly dodge with body skills. Occasionally, he will use gun skills to fight back. In the VIP seats, Governor Duan Yan looked at the gyre-shaped ring. Seeing Duan Xian'er and Lei Kang fighting, he couldn't help but frown. This boy's body skills are amazing. He can actually hold on for so long under Xian'er's sword. However, as he watched for a longer time, Duan Yan noticed something was wrong. Lei Kang's body skills became more and more flexible under Duan Xian'er's sword skills, and the amplitude of each dodge became smaller and smaller. Lei Kang's body swayed under the sword shadow, and he cleverly dodged Duan Xian'er's long sword attack, with a sense of leisurely strolling in the garden. Is this body skill at the level of entering the subtle level? Duan Yan was shocked. Lei Kang's body skills have reached the level of entering the subtle level. Duan Yan is also a warrior in the 4th heaven's blood furnace realm, and he saw the mystery of Lei Kang's body skills at a glance. Since the first generation of human King Guten created the 3rd heaven martial arts realm, in the past 300 years, the development of Tianyuan continent's martial arts has not continued to create a new realm. However, the development of martial arts and skills has been constantly improving. For example, the 6 grades of martial arts are the result of the efforts of martial artists over the past 300 years. In addition, there is also a relatively complete classification of the realms of various skills. In other words, skills refer to the degree of mastery of martial artist's own strength. Body skills, sword skills, palm skills, spear skills, etc. are all included. Martial artists with higher skills often have a better grasp of their own strength. For example, one can use 1 part of force to exert the effect of 10 parts of force. Another example is that 1 or 2 can make 1,000 gold coins, etc. These are all skills. The process of learning martial arts is actually to exercise one's own skills. In order to make the skills mastered by martial artists clearer, the Wu dynasty divided the skills. The lowest is the basic level, and most martial artists' mastery of their own strength is at this level. The next is the subtle level, which means that the martial artist has subtle control over his blood, ki, and body, and exerts the best effect at the lowest cost. Many martial artists in the 4th heaven have not been able to reach the subtle level of skills. It is conceivable how difficult it is to reach this level. But Lei Kang, a little guy who broke through to the blood coagulation realm for less than half a year, actually reached the subtle level of body skills. It seems that he achieved this in battle. How could Duan Yan not be shocked by this? With a 3rd grade martial art, he has mastered the macro level martial arts. This boy's comprehension is so terrifying, he must not be allowed to stay. This thought flashed through Duan Yan's mind. After today's incident, Lei Kang and Duan Yan can be said to have become enemies. Such a genius with extraordinary comprehension and talent must not be allowed to grow. Otherwise, one day Duan Yan will face a disaster. Duan Yan saw the mysteriousness of Lei Kang's martial arts, and other forces and strong men in Jiangzhou who were watching the battle also saw it. Good. Lei Ting slapped the armrest fiercely, and the powerful force smashed it into powder. But Lei Ting didn't care at all. Instead he laughed. Liu Zion and the disciples looked at him in confusion. Liu Zion said, Kanja has been beaten, and can only defend. What's the good of this? Lei Ting laughed. Don't worry, Kanja will win this battle. Kanja will fight back next. As expected, after Lei Kang's body skills entered the subtle level, the situation on the ring was reversed. The subtle level of body skills also led to the improvement of his spear skills. Lei Kang easily dodged Duan Xianai's swordsmanship and danced a few spear flowers with the spear in his hand, using 1 force as 3 forces. Lei Kang actually used less force to block his dark blue longsword. Duan Xianai's chest suddenly opened up, revealing a flaw. Lei Kang was experienced in combat and immediately seized this flaw. The spear was like a giant python, fiercely hitting Duan Xianai's chest. Not good. Duan Xianai felt his scalp tingling and quickly retracted his longsword to defend, trying to block the attack of the spear. Puff. The result of a full strength attack against a hasty defense is obvious at a glance. Although Duan Xianai didn't die, his body was shaken by the powerful force of the spear, and he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Lei Kang took advantage of this and continued to stab with his spear, forcing Duan Xianai to retreat. The audience was already dazzled by this scene. They could never have imagined that Duan Xianai, who was originally in the upper hand, would become the loser in a blink of an eye. In the end, Duan Xianai, who was seriously injured, shouted the word surrender unwillingly. Chapter 71 The Potential of Each Realm. Seeing Duan Xianai defeated and Lei Kang victorious, he successfully obtained the qualifications for the 5 palace examinations. The governor Duan Yan's face became gloomy, but he was cunning and his expression immediately returned to a calm look. This boy is very talented, he must not be allowed to stay. Duan Yan had a strong killing intent in his heart. Lei Kang's entry into the palace examination was a foregone conclusion. Under the watchful eyes of the public, Duan Yan could not deprive him of the qualification for the palace examination. If he did so, it would be tantamount to rebellion. If the king knew about it, Duan Yan and the Duan family would be executed. But Duan Yan could do something on Lei Kang's way to the capital. After the state examination, the winner had 3 months to go to Wujing City in Shenzhou. Duan Yan only needed to send someone to kill Lei Kang within these 3 months. As a governor, Duan Yan did not have a master of the 5th heaven to serve him, but there were many warriors in the 4th heaven. Lei Kang's side only had Lei Ting, a warrior of the 4th heaven. Sending multiple strong men over would be foolproof. When Lei Kang died, the imperial court was furious, but the murderer could not be found in the wilderness. Duan Yan's mind was flowing, and he immediately made up his mind. He looked at Duan Xianai, who was seriously injured and defeated. It's a pity that Xianai failed to enter the palace examination. Duan Xian'ai was too old and would never have the opportunity to participate in the palace examination again, which made Duan Yan lose another person in the court. Thinking of this, Duan Yan's murderous intention towards Lei Kang became stronger. In the Cheoxi Pavilion, Wen Dao drank tea and basked in the sun leisurely. There may not be many guests coming to the Cheoxi Pavilion to watch in a day, so Wen Dao was very idle. But he was not doing nothing. In a place that ordinary people could not perceive, Wen Dao was using the original energy to constantly temper every cell of his body, allowing it to move towards the peak of the third level. At the same time, he observed the situation of the two dust worlds, Tianyuan realm and Hangji realm, through the system. In fact, Wen Dao himself can also cover the two worlds with his consciousness and master all the information in them. This is the authority of the god of creation and the ability of the world tree. The relationship between Wen Dao and the world tree is that of the original body and the clone, but the original body of Wen Dao is weaker. It's just that state is too tiring and too mentally taxing. Wen Dao usually doesn't do that. After all, there is a convenient tool steward of the heavenly Dao system, so why should Wen Dao bother? Most of the time, it is the heavenly Dao system that selects the best travelers and native humans from the two worlds and shows their experiences to Wen Dao. Now, the scene of Lei Kang fighting on the ring appeared in front of Wen Dao, and his eyes were attracted by Lei Kang. Lei Kang was one of the first few travelers who broke through to the blood coagulation realm, and one of the second batch of travelers. He was also the first to comprehend the skills to the subtle level. In the entire Tianyuan world, they are the best group of people, so the heavenly Dao system naturally chose him. Subtle level. Wen Dao was very interested. This traveler has excellent comprehension. Wen Dao can give travelers a good enough physical root and martial arts talent. But comprehension and talent are not something that Wen Dao can give, and they need to rely on the traveler himself. This was the case with Minimum Yan and Gu Teng before. Only geniuses with extraordinary comprehension and amazing talent like this have a better chance of bringing forth new ideas from the old to the new in the extraordinary system and opening up a new realm of cultivation. In fact, there have been geniuses with high comprehension in the Tianyuan continent over the past few hundred years. All the warriors who can cultivate to the sixth heaven are geniuses of this kind. But I don't know if it's because the history of the Tianyuan continent is too short and the cultural heritage is insufficient, so these geniuses with high comprehension have a narrow vision for innovation. Although they can reach the sixth heaven, they are powerless to create a new realm. However, their possible ideas for the new realm and their accumulated lifelong martial arts experience are left to future generations. Wen Dao estimated that, even if there were no Travises coming, in another 600 or 700 years, the Tianyuan realm will give birth to a son of destiny who gathers the world's luck. Based on the martial arts experience of the predecessors, they will summarize and improve and create a new realm of blood and ki martial arts! Exclamation mark. However, the arrival of the Traviser brought this result forward. Hahaha, Lei Kang, I'm very optimistic about you. Lei Kang's name entered the sight of the god of creation for the first time. Wen Dao looked at Lei Kang of Tianyuan realm. I hope you are really the one who created a new martial arts realm. Now the 6 martial arts heavens of Tianyuan realm are divided into the first and second levels in the heavens and myriad worlds. Once a new realm is opened up, it means entering the third level of the heavens, and practitioners have a high probability of undergoing a transformation of life level, but it is very difficult to explore and open up this realm. The third level is already relatively high in the heavens and myriad worlds. Wen Dao's own life level is only the third level. In fact, the performance of the second level warriors in Tianyuan realm is a bit low. According to some information that Wen Dao knows from the world tree, in other worlds, the second level practitioners have the strength to destroy mountains and break rivers. The blood warriors of Tianyuan realm are far from developing the full potential of the second level life. Similarly, they have not fully developed the potential of the first level realm. There are 2 reasons for this. One is the suppression of the main universe. After all, Wen Dao has not yet completely integrated the supernatural laws into the main universe. The main universe is still a world without demons, and the physical rules are strict. The suppression of supernatural powers is still there, and it is not small. The second reason is that the heaven and earth vitality in the Tianyuan realm is not enough. It is not enough to support the warriors of this world and further tap the potential of each realm. The 100,000 origins that Wen Dao invested before maintained the concentration of heaven and earth vitality in the Tianyuan realm at 1%, and it can last for 4 or 5,000 years. Similarly, if you want to open up a new realm, this concentration of heaven and earth vitality is not enough. Wen Dao smiled and said, "It seems that we have to increase the concentration of heaven and earth vitality in Tianyuan Star. It's just that the higher the concentration of heaven and earth vitality, the faster it will flow and transform. Just like 2 cups of salt water, one cup has a concentration of 30% and the other cup has a concentration of 10%. If you put them in the same pond, the salt of the high concentration salt water will flow faster. So this means that the concentration of heaven and earth vitality has increased, and when Dao wants to maintain it, then the origin that needs to be invested in the Tianyuan realm every day will increase greatly. Wen Dao is a little helpless. I have finally earned hundreds of thousands of origins from the Hangji realm, and now I need to invest them all in the Tianyuan realm. Wen Dao originally wanted to create another macrodust world after accumulating 500,000 origins. Now it seems that this plan can only be postponed until the Hangji realm is promoted to an upper macrodust world and receives rewards from the Chaos Sea and the main universe. After all, the opportunity for a traverser to open up a new realm will never come back. If he lets this opportunity slip, then Wen Dao doesn't know when he will have to wait. Chapter 72, Vitality Tide. As for when to create the third small world, Wen Dao looked at the civilization seed of Hangji Star and found that at its growth rate, it would take some time for it to germinate successfully and promote Hangji realm to the upper dust world. Without a traverser entering Hangji Star and only the Cheyenne Dao system secretly guiding it. Although the civilization evolution of Hangji Star is faster than the normal civilization development, it is not as fast as that of Tianyuan Star more than 300 years ago. Wen Dao estimated that when the feudal dynasty naturally appeared on Hangji Star, and even the Meridian martial arts system opened up the second realm, the Hangji civilization seed might not be able to germinate. After all, the appearance of the Traverser brought many cross-era inventions to Tianyuan realm, allowing the breath of civilization to continue to emerge. This means that it will take some time for the emergence of a new world. Wen Dao's gaze turned to Hangji realm. At this moment, the humans of Hangji Star have just perfected the cultivation system to the 3rd level. All meridians are open. They are still in the tribal era, but are beginning to transform into the city-state era. After 1,000 years have passed in Hangji Star, I will send the 3rd batch of travelers into it. For now, let's transform Tianyuan realm. Entering the main stage, Wen Dao took control of the power of the god of creation and controlled the large amount of origin owned by the world tree to flow into Tianyuan realm. Hulala, more than 200,000 origins surged like a river, flowing out of the void of Tianyuan realm and heading straight for Tianyuan Star. In the process of flowing, the origin violently decomposed and burned, turning into lower level heaven and earth vital energy. One drop of origin can transform into a large lake of liquid heaven and earth vital energy. If the concentration is reduced to gaseous heaven and earth vital energy, the coverage area will be even larger. One drop of origin can be transformed into covering a large area of sea and land. The heaven and earth vital energy rolled away, falling from the void to the earth, turning into a vital energy tide from east to west, sweeping the entire planet. The humans and animals on Tianyuan Star only felt a strong wind blowing over. The concentration of the heaven and earth energy on Tianyuan Star suddenly increased, from only occupying 1% of the air to 10%. Previously, at a concentration of 1%, 100,000 origins could last for 4 or 5,000 years. But now at a concentration of 10%, 100,000 origins can only last for about 200 or 300 years, and the duration has been shortened by nearly 20 times. The 230,000 origins that Wen Dao invested this time can support about 500 years, which is 50 days on the ancestral star. Another 50 days. Wen Dao smiled. There is no way. The higher the concentration of heaven and earth energy, the more energy is lost every year. It's like an increasingly steep arc function. Of course, this loss of heaven and earth energy is not without effect. To a certain extent, it is also slowly changing the main universe, allowing the main universe to adapt to the existence of heaven and earth energy. It can take the opportunity to create soil for the growth of the extraordinary system and help the extraordinary laws to be imprinted into the main universe. If it continues, after countless years, the main universe may regard heaven and earth energy as a normal thing like oxygen and radiation energy and no longer allow it to be decomposed into other energies. As soon as it appears, the concentration of heaven and earth energy increased, and the first to notice the situation were the few 6th level warriors in the Tianyuan realm. They were the strongest, and every time they practiced, they needed to inhale and exhale a large amount of heaven and earth energy. On this day, they could clearly feel that their practice became easier. Compared with before, their practice speed has increased several times. With just a breath, they can absorb a lot of heaven and earth energy and convert it into blood energy. ! As time went on, other warriors in lower realms also gradually noticed the changes in heaven and earth, and the heaven and earth energy increased for unknown reasons. This is great news for many warriors in the blood and energy realm. The strength standard of warriors in these two realms is mainly based on the blood and energy content in their bodies. The more blood and energy, the stronger the cultivation. Combat power is another matter. Now that the concentration of heaven and earth energy has increased, the difficulty of their practice has decreased. Warriors who originally had no money to obtain resources for further practice finally found an opportunity to break through at this moment. It can be predicted that in the future, a large number of low-level warriors will break through in the Tianyuan realm. As the number of low-level warriors increases, the number of warriors of higher levels will naturally increase. In addition, another benefit is the warrior's ability to recover. When a warrior fights, a lot of blood and ki will be consumed. After the battle, it often takes some time to cultivate again. Just like the talented warriors in the state examination, each round of competition requires a few days to recover. But now it is different. The concentration of heaven and earth vitality has increased, and the speed of blood and ki cultivation has increased a lot. This means that the warrior's combat endurance has been improved by leaps and bounds. For example, if the masters of the 5th and 6th levels of martial arts deal with some ordinary people, or warriors of the first 1 or 2 levels, the blood and ki they consume when killing the latter can probably be recovered in one breath. There is no need to be afraid of a round-the-clock battle. They can fight endlessly and fight for 10 days and 10 nights without any problem. At most, the spirit will become tired, and the body will still remain in peak condition. Another aspect is that the appearance of heaven and earth vitality will make the originally rare beasts active again on the land of Tianyuan continent. And the level that the beasts can reach will also increase. Like the fierce beasts in the past, it was very rare for a beast to reach the blood-moving realm, Tyrannosaurus Rex. But in today's environment, it is not impossible for fierce beasts to enter the blood coagulation realm and the blood ki baking furnace realm. Even the yuan qi containing rich yuan qi will have a greatly increased output. This is the real golden age of martial arts practice. The practice environment has improved, and various practice resources have increased. Inside, there are martial arts geniuses and the martial arts are flourishing. Only such a practice environment can support the opening of the 3rd realm of martial arts! ! The time and the location are ready, and it depends on you guys to make peace. Wen Dao's eyes were full of expectations. The world stage has been set up for the traversers, and it depends on their performance. The world has changed. In a deserted wilderness, the dusty Lei Kang felt the changes in the yuan qi between heaven and earth, and muttered to himself. Lei Kang frowned, wondering why the world had changed like this. Is it true that, as those people said, a golden age of martial arts cultivation is coming? And my crossing here is just the beginning of this golden age. Unlike Guteng's group of travelers 400 years ago, each traveler has gradually known the existence of other travelers after years of growth. Now this second batch of travelers has no new inventions to invent. Simple inventions in daily life have all been invented by their predecessors. All the modern knowledge they have is not very useful in this world, so they can only focus on their own cultivation. This leads to the fact that, even if the travelers become famous, it is because of their talent in martial arts. Others can't tell that they are travelers at all. So Lei Kang has always felt that he is the only traveler in this world, and that he is the protagonist of this era. Forget it, don't worry about it. Lei Kang threw away the distracting thoughts in his mind. The most urgent task is to recover my strength as soon as possible and get rid of the pursuit of the Duan family. Yes, it has been more than half a month since the end of the state examination. Lei Kang is now on his way to Shinzhao's Wujing city. However, Lei Kang was chased by the strong men sent by Duanyuan. In order to avoid being hunted down, Lei Kang separated from his parents. After agreeing to meet in Wujing city, they fled into the mountains. Chapter 73 Palace Examination. As the capital of the #1 dynasty in the world, Wujing City is extremely prosperous, with a permanent population of 5 to 6 million, and is the undisputed #1 city in the world. There are many hidden dragons and crouching tigers in Wujing City, and there are so many warriors of all realms that it is hard to tell how many there are. It is really blood coagulation everywhere, and the blood moving realm is worse than a dog. Since Lei Kang entered Wujing City, in less than half an hour, he has met no less than 24th level warriors. Although martial arts masters from all over the country came to Wujing City during the martial arts palace examination, but such a density of martial arts masters is still jaw-dropping. The prosperity of martial arts in Wu Dynasty can be seen from this. Lei Kang looked at the warriors who kept passing by. His eyes were fiery. For a martial arts fanatic like him, Wujing City is simply a paradise. He can find countless warriors with the same strength as him, or even stronger, to learn from. Brother Lei, we are here. At this time, a voice interrupted Lei Kang's thoughts. A young man in white, who was about the same age as Lei Kang, rode a red horse to Lei Kang's side. This young man was named Bei, and he was the prodigy of the Bei family, a martial arts family in Kangzhou. Like Lei Kang, Bei was also a talented warrior who entered the palace examination. Lei Kang was originally hunted down by the warriors sent by Jiangzhou Governor Duanyuan. He fled in the mountains for more than a month and was in danger several times. If Lei Kang had not been smart and good at using the surrounding environment to hide himself, and if he hadn't been a little bit lucky, he might have been killed by the warriors sent by Duanyuan. Getting the attention of the god of creation is still a big benefit. Later, on the way to being hunted down, Lei Kang met Bei and a group of Bei family masters who accompanied him. Bei saw that Lei Kang was very skilled and the same age as him, and immediately guessed that Lei Kang was also one of the candidates for the palace examination. So he wanted to make friends with him and asked the Bei family's masters to help Lei Kang escape from danger and send away the Duan family's killers. In the days that followed, Lei Kang temporarily joined the Bei family's convoy and came to Wujing City with them. During this period, Lei Kang and Bei hit it off and regarded each other as confidants. The most important thing is that both of them are time travelers, and their thoughts are highly overlapped. They both believe that the Wu dynasty is not far from extinction. Especially in these 3 months, this idea has become stronger. Because they have seen too many tragedies in the world, the people are oppressed by corrupt officials. But ideas are ideas. Now Lei Kang and Bei still choose to participate in the Wu dynasty's martial arts palace examination. Bei pointed to a tall mansion and said, "This is the residence of my Bei family in Wujing City. If Brother Lei doesn't give up, you can settle down in this mansion." They came to Wujing City early, and there were still 10 days and a half months before the palace examination began. Before being summoned by the King of Man, Lei Kang and his friends could only settle down in Wujing City. Lei Kang hesitated for a moment and accepted Bei's invitation. He still had a good impression of Bei and the Bei family. At least after they failed to recruit Lei Kang, they still had a friendly attitude towards Lei Kang. Unlike the Duan family, their attitude towards Lei Kang changed drastically, and they even hunted Lei Kang down. In that case, I'll trouble Brother Bei. In the following days, Lei Kang practiced in Bei Mansion and fought with Bei from time to time. More than 10 days passed, and the 3-month deadline had arrived. More than 100 talented warriors who passed the state examinations in the 13 states arrived in Wujing City one after another. Lei Kang and Bei were also summoned by the King of Humanity to prepare to enter the palace to participate in the palace examination. On the second day of arriving in Wujing City, they reported their whereabouts to the court. The officials of the Wu dynasty also verified their identities these days to prevent people from impersonating them. Led by the internal officials, a group of talented warriors passed through the heavily guarded palace gates and came to a 3-story attic in the palace. This attic was magnificent and luxurious, and all kinds of precious treasures from all over the world were displayed around the palace. Coral, agate, jade, white jade, everything is available. There were even more lewd sounds coming from the attic. Lei Kang and others could vaguely see countless beautiful dancers dancing seductively through the gauze curtain. I don't know how much money was spent on building such an attic, and how many people's families were broken up. Lei Kang sighed in his heart, but his face remained calm. Obviously, this 3-story attic is the Tianyuan Star that is famous in Wu Dynasty and even in the surrounding countries. Surrounded by beautiful women, the contemporary human king of Wu Dynasty finally appeared. The human king was wearing a golden dragon robe with a big belly and did not look like much imperial majesty. The human king's face was a little pale, and others could tell at a glance that he was too indulged in sex and was weak. But even for such a human king with kidney deficiency whose strength was only at the blood moving level, Lei Kang and others knelt down and saluted at the first time. Long live the human king. Stand up. The human king, surrounded by beauties, raised his eyebrows and looked at the people under the pavilion. Are you the talented warriors from each state, selected for this martial arts examination? Yes, you are indeed young and heroic. Each of you has an extraordinary demeanor and vigorous blood. The human king said in a calm tone. The weather is hot. You should start the palace examination quickly. The human king gave an order, and everyone dared not disobey. So this year's palace examination was held under the Tianyuan Pavilion. The palace examination process is no different from the state examination. Both draw lots and fight in a ring. It's just that the quality of warriors in the palace examination is much higher than that of the state examination. Those who can enter the palace examination are all talented warriors from each state. Most of them are blood coagulation realm warriors, and most of them are 16 or 17 years old in the blood coagulation realm. They are all traverses without exception. A few who are not in the blood coagulation realm are also at the peak of the blood moving realm. Therefore, the palace examination is much more intense than the state examination, and it looks full of violent aesthetics. The dancer Meiji of Tianyuan Pavilion exclaimed repeatedly. Among all the talented warriors in the blood coagulation realm, Lei Kang's cultivation can only be regarded as the upper middle level, and his strength is close to the power of the 8 cauldrons. In 3 months, coupled with the great changes in the world, the concentration of the heaven and earth's vitality has greatly increased, which has greatly improved Lei Kang's strength. However, he has improved his cultivation, and other talented warriors have also improved. Most of these geniuses in the blood coagulation realm have made breakthroughs in these 3 months. The only thing that makes Lei Kang stand out among the geniuses is his subtle body skills and subtle spear skills. Exclamation mark. Yes, Lei Kang's spear skills have also reached the subtle level. Lei Kang has a very high level of comprehension. After entering the subtle level, he can control his own blood and ki for subtle operations. He envisions integrating this ability into his spear skills. In addition, the pursuit from the Duan family has put Lei Kang in a life and death threat at all times. His mind is tense every moment, squeezing out all of Lei Kang's potential. Needless to say, Lei Kang succeeded and directly cultivated the 4th grade martial arts extreme thunder spear skill to perfection, and his spear skills have also successfully entered the subtle level. It was these 2 skills that reached the subtle level that allowed Lei Kang to escape from the hands of several 4th level warriors repeatedly. It also made Lei Kang one of the strongest among the talented warriors. In this way, Lei Kang defeated his opponents one by one and successfully entered the finals of the palace examination. Chapter 74, Sutra Library. The one who entered the finals with Lei Kang was a talented warrior named GQIU. GQIU came from Hazhou, and his strength reached the peak of the blood coagulation realm, which was the highest among the crowd. His strength was also not weak, and he possessed several high-grade martial arts. The only difference between him and Lei Kang was that he had not reached the subtle level. It was this little difference that made him lose to Lei Kang. In front of Tianyuan Pavilion, 2 figures collided like chariots. The gun shadow and the knife light collided, and a burst of dazzling sparks broke out. Lei Kang's subtle level gun technique mobilized every ray of blood in his body and used it to the best, with one part of the power, to exert 5 or 6 parts of the power. Bang! At the critical moment, Lei Kang broke through the knife light with a gun, carrying thousands of pounds of force, to pierce Yi Qiu's armor, and pierced a terrible wound on his shoulder. Facing the injury that almost killed him, cold sweat broke out on Yi Qiu's forehead, but it was soon evaporated by the hot blood. I admit defeat. Although Yi Qiu was unwilling, he knew that, if he continued to fight, he would have no chance of winning. If Lei Kang could stab him once, he could stab him twice or 3 times. And next time, Yi Qiu's luck might not be so good. So Yi Qiu chose to admit defeat. Good. On the Kiluan Pavilion, the Human King stood up and applauded this last wonderful battle. This martial arts exam is the most exciting I have ever seen. It makes my blood boil. The Human King laughed and immediately issued an order. Rewards. You will all have rewards. Reward all those who enter the martial arts palace exam with 100 gold coins each. Also reward the top 3 in the martial arts exam with a pair of 9-inch white jade ruai and 100 feet of snow silk. Thank you, your majesty, for the reward. Lei Kang, Beihe and others hurriedly saluted to receive the order. Afterwards, the Human King also conferred official positions on Lei Kang and others, based on their ranking in the palace exam. In fact, these were official positions that the officials of the Ministry of Rites had already drafted before the martial arts exam was held. The Human King only needed to review and stamp. As the champion of the martial arts, Lei Kang was given a 4th rank official title, General Wu Wei, whose duty was to join the capital's imperial guards and guard the imperial palace. It was a good official title. Of course, what Lei Kang really valued was not this official title, but the opportunity to enter the Imperial Palace Sutra Pavilion. After becoming the champion of the martial arts, he could choose 3 5th rank martial arts or 10 4th rank martial arts to study in the Sutra Pavilion. He could also read the practice notes of countless predecessors in the Sutra Pavilion and absorb their understanding and experience of martial arts. As for other talented martial artists, they could only choose 1 5th rank martial arts or 3 4th rank martial arts. The Imperial Palace Sutra Pavilion, the place with the most martial arts classics in the world. The martial arts in it are as vast as the Sea of Smoke, including 90% of the martial arts. Since the founding of the Wu dynasty, Lei Kang was extremely excited. More than 400 years ago, the martial arts holy land of Tianyuan continent was Xiang Mountain. But 400 years later, the martial arts holy land became Wujing City, and it was this Sutra Pavilion that caused all this. There are countless top warriors of the 5th and 6th heavens in the Wu dynasty, who were born in this Sutra library. It can be said that it is one of the most fundamental foundations of the Wu dynasty. After rewarding everyone, the Human King ordered them to leave, and he wanted to continue to indulge in the gentle countryside. In order to enjoy himself better, the Human King was thinking about how to obtain more treasures and wealth. The Sutra Library is located in the most heavily guarded place in the palace. On the surface, there is a guard army guarding it all year round. The weakest warriors of this guard army are at the blood moving realm. Some of the generals are warriors at the blood coagulation realm and the blood furnace realm. In secret, there are several 5th level blood dragon strongmen around the Sutra Library. It can be said that even the strongest top warriors of the 6th heaven in the world cannot sneak into the Sutra Library quietly. Led by the eunuch holding the Human King's token, Lei Kang and others successfully passed the test and entered the Sutra Library. After getting permission, Lei Kang couldn't wait to enter the Sutra Library. The space inside the Sutra Library is not small, just like some medium-sized public libraries on Zuxing. The bookshelves on both sides are filled with various martial arts collected by the Wu dynasty for more than 400 years. Lei Kang saw the countless martial arts, his eyes lit up, and he wanted to pounce on it and start reading immediately. You have 1 day to read it inside. A golden armored general who was guarding the Sutra Library said lightly. After 1 day, everyone must come out. If anyone fails to leave the Sutra Library after the time limit, we have the right to kill him. Lei Kang and others were startled and immediately remembered this in their hearts, secretly saying that when they were immersed in the ocean of martial arts knowledge, they must not forget the time. Then Lei Kang and others dispersed and began to look for martial arts that they were interested in and suitable for themselves. Sometimes too many martial arts can also be a tormenting thing. especially for people with choice difficulties. Lei Kang saw a lot of novel martial arts in the sutra library, but in order not to waste time, Lei Kang took a casual look and put it down. At this moment, Lei Kang couldn't help but have such an idea in his mind. If I had a photographic memory, I could memorize all the martial arts knowledge in the sutra library at once. If he could memorize everything he saw, Lei Kang wouldn't have to worry so much. The Wu dynasty has been established for more than 400 years. Perhaps there really was a genius who could remember everything he saw and could really do this. Suppressing the distracting thoughts in his mind, Lei Kang continued to swim in the ocean of martial arts knowledge, trying his best to absorb some useful knowledge and experience. On the other side of the sutra library, the Bei family genius Bei was slowly flipping through martial arts books, not missing a single page. After flipping through each martial arts book, Bei would close his eyes for more than 10 seconds, as if he was digesting the knowledge in it. Time passed by little, and Lei Kang had chosen 3 5th grade martial arts in the sutra library. 1 martial arts for body movements, 1 martial arts for spear movements, and 1 martial arts for boxing. In fact, Lei Kang's boxing and kicking skills were also very good, but his brilliance was overshadowed by his spear skills. In addition to these 3 5th grade martial arts, Lei Kang also absorbed a lot of martial arts knowledge that he had never been exposed to before. For example, the realm of skills. In addition to the basic level and subtle level that Lei Kang knew, there is also a unity of man and nature. If it is applied to spearmanship, it is necessary to achieve the point of unity between man and spear. In addition, Lei Kang knows the key points of how to practice to the 4th and 5th heavens, and knows how to go on the road behind. Although Lei Kang's father is a warrior of the 4th heaven, his understanding of the 4th heaven is far less than the notes left by the strong men of the Wu dynasty. It can be said that Lei Kang benefited a lot from this trip to the Sutra Pavilion. Next, we will move towards the 4th heaven of martial arts. Lei Kang's eyes were bright, his fighting spirit was high, and he couldn't wait to start practicing. Chapter 75 Official Actions. Please read, collect, and vote. After coming out of the Imperial Palace Sutra Pavilion, Lei Kang and his group of martial arts candidates were assigned to the Imperial Guards in the 4 camps outside Wujing City. Lei Kang and Bei were lucky to be in the same army and became colleagues. The friendship between the two became more profound. During this period, Lei Kang's parents successfully came to Wujing City and re-established the Jilei Martial Arts School, with Lei Kang, the top scorer in the martial arts exam. As a gimmick, the Jilei Martial Arts School quickly recruited a large number of students and disciples, and the limelight was unparalleled. As time passed, with the resources provided by the Wu dynasty, Lei Kang's cultivation grew steadily and rapidly. In just 4 years, Lei Kang successfully entered the 4th level of martial arts, the Blood Furnace. In addition to Lei Kang's own efforts, another point is that it is thanks to Bei, a good brother. Bei's photographic memory was discovered by Lei Kang by chance. He learned that on the day when the martial arts exam ended, he memorized many martial arts and notes from his predecessors in the Sutra library, and also wrote down many martial arts in the past few days. Of course, Bei also revealed it to Lei Kang on purpose. Because Bei knew that Lei Kang was a martial arts fanatic, he would never miss the opportunity to learn more martial arts. And he only needed to take out these martial arts to make friends with Lei Kang, a peerless genius, and accumulate stronger power for the Bei family. The two were good friends and confidants, and now they had a common secret. The relationship became closer, and they became brothers of different surnames on the spot. In this way, with the help of their good brothers and their own efforts, Lei Kang and Bei's cultivation level increased steadily. The concentration of the heaven and earth energy in the Tianyuan realm increased, which also had a significant impact on the traverses of the ancestral star. On this day, Ming-Yan could feel that he had absorbed more heaven and earth energy from the Tianyuan continent. If the amount of heaven and earth energy that could be absorbed before was a glass of water, now it has become a bucket of water. Ming-Yan's cultivation speed has been improved. After the official knew about this, it immediately attracted great attention. Does the increase in the efficiency of absorbing the heaven and earth's vitality mean that the distance between Tianyuan continent and Zuxing has shortened? After all, the improvement of energy transportation efficiency means that either the transportation distance is shortened, the transportation/absorption power is increased, or the transportation volume is increased. There are only 3 possibilities. Mingyuan broke through the blood and Qi realm for only 1 or 2 days, and his strength has not changed much. Obviously, it is impossible to be a problem of absorption power. As for the increase in transportation energy, this is possible. However, the official think tank is more inclined to the first one, that the transportation distance is shortened. Previously, the official suspected that Tianyuan continent was a planet and was near the solar system. However, the unusual time difference made this idea self-defeating. Later, the think tank proposed the concept of parallel worlds in different dimensions, and believed that Tianyuan continent was in another time and space. There is only such a possibility to explain why the time flow rate of Tianyuan continent and Zuxing is different, and there has been a change. However, like the planets speculated before, they speculated that this parallel time and space is not far from the time and space where Zuxing is located. Otherwise, it would be impossible for human souls to travel back and forth, and it would be impossible to sense the vitality of heaven and earth. Of course, whether all this is true or not needs to be verified. In addition to the improvement in the efficiency of the transportation of the vitality of heaven and earth, we have also found hundreds of suspected cases of travelers across the country. An official staff member reported. Hundreds of cases? Wei Renming was excited. Is this another supernatural phenomenon? Wei Renming flipped through the report in his hand. After learning about the existence of travelers through the Traveler Forum and the characteristics that their original bodies would fall into a vegetative state after traveling, the official used his authority to notify hospitals in various regions across the country and immediately notify local officials if there are patients with similar symptoms. Sure enough, the number of cases with vegetative characteristics has increased sharply across the country in the past few days, which has attracted the attention of the officials. Wei Renming looked at the information on the report and couldn't help but guess in his heart if there are really new travelers among them. Could it be that the improvement in the efficiency of absorbing the heaven and earth's vitality is related to them? Thinking of this, Wei Renming ordered, keep a close eye on these people and report them immediately if they show signs of waking up. Yes. After temporarily arranging this matter, Wei Renming turned to look at the next report. This is good news. Among the first batch of travelers, the official found more than 100. They were also screened out based on the hospital's medical information. There is no way these travelers who have lived longer in the Tianyuan continent will be sent to the hospital for examination and treatment after being discovered by their relatives and friends. This also gives the official a chance to find them. This is the era of big data. Basically all information can be found through the internet. But as he looked at it, Wei Renming frowned. Among the travelers found, there are no people like Ren Wang and Lebo in the Traveler Forum. Yes, the official did not find detailed information about the first batch of travelers who joined the forum, such as Guteng and Shile. The subordinate was a little embarrassed and explained, the administrator of the Time Traveler Forum is a highly skilled hacker. As early as the beginning of the forum, he foresaw our actions and erased the medical information of the first batch of time travelers who joined the forum. Wei Renming understood it after hearing this. With the network technology of top hackers, the firewalls of those hospitals are useless and the information can be easily erased. Moreover, it is a deep erasure, and the official network technology experts may not be able to recover it. Shilen is the world's top hacker. What's more, even if the information data can be recovered, the official doesn't even know which hospital these time travelers visited, so how can they recover it? There are so many hospitals in Zuxia. If you want to find them, you need to spend a lot of manpower and material resources to screen them one by one. It's unknown when this will take. Wei Renming sighed and said, in this case, the time travelers in the forum will be temporarily listed as the focus of attention. When they reveal more clues later, we will find them. First communicate with the time travelers who have been found, and try to recruit them into the team. Yes, Team Wei. Wei Renming rubbed his temples, and continued to look at the next report. Foreign countries noticed the movement here, and want to find out the reason? It's no wonder that this is the case. The reason for everything is that Mingan's actions are too high profile. In the past few days, Mingan has released several martial arts training videos, all of which have caused huge heat on the internet. This heat was even spread to the internet by people with good intentions. Many people abroad know that a kung fu master has appeared in Zhuxia. Of course, many people think that Mingan is just a person who seeks fame and reputation, not a kung fu master. They shouted that their country's heavyweight boxers and judo/karate masters could knock Mingan down with one punch. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.